connect with Instagram and Rumble. Has something changed? Maybe we're on everything this week. That's awesome. So welcome everybody to our Ask Gun Question show. We go live on Saturdays, every single Saturday. We've never missed a Saturday. And we go live for at least 4 hours every single Saturday, and we answer questions. Usually somewhere between 100 and 250 questions get answered effectively and efficiently. People walk away not just enlightened, but inspired um, to to share the Second Amendment with everybody else out there. You're welcome. It's because of Tony joining us from New Jersey. Thanks for jumping in.
Hi, thanks, man. I really like being a part of this. I feel like it's the libraries of Alexandria.
It
Um,
is in a lot of ways, except for guns.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just glad to be a part of it.
So we'll see if anybody joins us today. Usually people join us at the hour something mark or whatever when they have watched everything else that's good and then they come over here. But anyway, we were just chatting about what is it, a 320? 360.
Yeah,
It's a 320.
320. Yeah.
And I think I was about to say, like, this ain't my first rodeo that I've seen people have issues with issues before. And as much as I don't like feeding I don't know what to call them, but I keep calling them the exploiters, the people who I just see sit on the bench all the damn time, especially when it's important. That's what bothers me. I don't care what you do with your time, but if you're going to sit on the bench when we need you, and then the only times, like, and this is, I can say this, like, the only times they get off the fucking bench is when there's shit like this going on, because they know, one, this is, like you said, when the time is right, you strike, right? When the iron's hot or whatever, you strike. So, I mean, I can understand that, but then they just know, like, they've figured out the exploit. Like, they figured out how to just rake in the views, the money, whatever it is they're looking for, both, um, the legitimacy, quote unquote, because they're contributing, quote unquote, really, when all they do is come in and exploit. But then they can go take that to the industry and say, look at my numbers, look at how much we engage,
Hmm.
blah, blah, blah. When really all they're doing there is to stoke the fires when it's frustrating. Anyway, so I'm sick of, right? Like, I've raged against that for a while. But here's the thing, and that's what I was about to tell Tony off here, and I was like, why don't we just go live? Um, as much as I hate that and it drives me nuts, because I really see that as detrimental, not just like an annoyance or like a negative part of the gun community. It's like, seriously, it undermines us because they take so much resources away and so much attention away, and then they frustrate everybody by just wearing things out. It's like metal fatigue, right? Like, people just get fatigued and they leave. They go find a hobby where people aren't doing that to each other. Like, I don't think there's too many things in like motorcycles or playing pool. I'm trying to think of like other hobbies like sewing or something, where people are trying to create division so that they can, exploit that rift or whatever. But for some reason, anyway, so what I was getting at though is that as much as I hate all that and it's annoying, at the same time, like, we don't get to, because we're sick of it and we've seen it happen a bunch of times, we don't get to tell the new gun owners that they don't get to have these conversations. I mean, half the reason I'm a gun owner is because I grew up having these conversations endlessly. Except back in the day, it would have been like, what, like, what's better, an Uzi or a Mac 10 or something? Like, we would have had those theoretical discussions. We didn't have, the hands on or the guns to have these conversations. Maybe we would have been like, do you like double action only? Now that, it's like, this is becoming a popular thing, or like aluminum frames or something. But so I don't want to take that away from people that are new to the mix, right? They're either new to guns, new to talking about guns online. Like, you have to have something to talk about, and this is, like you say, the thing. So I put a poll up a while back whenever it was getting on my nerves, just watching the typical same old people show up, right? And so my way to fight back was just to put a poll up and say, are you sick of this or not? And surprisingly, I think, to me, the are you sick of it? Yes, came in 50-50 with I'm kind of interested. Not the medium interested, but like, not sort of enthusiastically interested. Like, I am interested in this debate. Not like I'm super interested. So if there was a scale of one being I hate this, four being I love this, one and three came in equal. And I'm like, all right, I got to take, I put the poll out there to learn. And that's legit. Like, as many people hate it as people find it interesting. They're not loving it, like, they're not getting off on it, but they're digging it. So anyway, that being said, we were talking about the conversation, but where are you on it? Like, do you have an opinion on it at this point, or do you need more time?
On what? Just the P320 itself?
Yeah, or
Um,
maybe just this conversation. Obviously, the gun
th-
is, blah blah blah, tolerance stack, all the stuff you guys talked about. We were all talking about this
yeah,
because of your podcast the other day with Rob, but not so much the gun because that's just all speculation. But I mean the hype. Like, is that
the hype.
something
Okay,
that you've?
well, let's go ahead and get this out there because I don't know. But we jumped into a conversation that we're aware of. I have another podcast called Lot Cocked and Unfiltered with Clayton and Chris, both firearms instructors, we're both in the industry, and they've been around for a while. 2 weeks ago, we did a show on our opinion on the SIG P320 and the hype surrounding it. And then we talked about it, and we were like, you know what? We know some people that we can have on that understand how guns work, understand how companies work, understand how design work, and know how the industry works. And they also know how social media works. Let's get them on. So we invited Rob Pincus. Rob Pincus is ICE training. He's also Affinity Arms. He designed the PD-10 self-defense pistol, 9 millimeter striker fired polymer. Sound familiar, right? Polymer pistol. He developed that, marketed, and is manufacturing it. That's his gun. So we brought him on because subject matter expert. Zeke Stout from Talking Lead, from Master at Arms, the TV show on Discovery Channel, also formerly of SDI and Sonoran Desert Institute, a large online gunsmithing school. He helped them grow to the fact that you know their names now. And he left there and started Modern Gun School, MGS, and it's also a large online gunsmithing school. So he may know something also about the industry. And we had them on the show, and they talked about it. And they caught flack. We caught flack. We got a lot of people going back and forth, not only with us, but casting aspersions on our guest. And we even had Bruce Gray from Gray Guns comment on our show. And 1 minute he attacked because someone sent him a clip of the show, and then followed up by, they did a pretty good job and they were fair. So that was actually his final assessment after seeing the show.
See, that's
So
what I was going to say. Is I watched it and I thought it was a kind of conversation of people that weren't just trying to say the same thing or yell it.
yeah.
That was
So
fair.
so my opinion on overall is there's always going to be something going on that people trying to hype. But as a firearms instructor, as someone that cares about the firearms community, and a Second Amendment advocate, I'm like, yo, let's wave some flags and slow the roll down because people are running with things they consider facts and they're just saying it over and over again. And it's almost like, the Beetlejuice in the mirror or saying Candyman in the mirror, you're going to make it come true. The guns are going off for a reason. All right. They need to find out, but you keep pushing this that these guns are unsafe. They need to go away. And they were like, well, look what happened with the airmen. And I'm like, that's an investigation that's underway, but you've already decided not only is Sig guilty that the gun is going off, but they should be banned. I'm like, can we slow down and stop letting sensationalism drive what is a company that has a military contract out of business? Because that could happen. Let's be aware that we can have our drama, but sometimes that drama doesn't stay on our boards or in the comments section of just the little things we pay attention to. They can get out in the wild. And once they do, there is no control. These aren't gun people we're dealing with. These are people that are risk averse. So school boards and administrators and police departments and administrators that run, procurement of firearms on a national and local level, we could end up putting not only this thing down, but maybe it can drag other companies into it, or all of a sudden somebody starts saying Glocks are going off, or just it can grow out of hand. We need to be careful because there are people that are profiting from this drama, just like you said. They're profiting from the drama because their numbers are up, their engagement is up. That's why they're keeping poking this thing with a stick. Now, we decided on our podcast, we're leaving the P320 subject alone now. We had our say. We brought in what we thought were subject matter experts. We didn't dictate what they said or didn't even ask what their opinion was before we asked them on the show because of who they are and their expertise. So we didn't try to guide or frame that in any way outside of when Rob said, "How far do you want me to go?" And they were like, "Full send, dude. Whatever you think, put out there. We don't care. Let the chips fall where they may." And that show's done. Cool. All right, now we're going to be talking about training and activism in our next show. We're no longer dogpiling on the P320 thing. Outside of my guys are answering questions or comments on the podcast, comment section on YouTube. That's it. So be careful. We can't dogpile because our favorite talking head said something, because they could be wrong and they'll never take it back. They'll never walk it back. And the damage they do by being exploitative can't be undone. So that's what I think about it. Just be careful, man. Be aware when you just blindly following somebody so they can get their numbers up, that it does have real world results. And you're one of the people that told me about that when I was making a meme about something and I named a company that had nothing to do with it. And you were like, hey, that's a pretty funny meme. But if you leave it out there, people that had nothing to do with this are going to be affected by it. So I immediately pulled it. And you were right. I was being unknowingly and not with intent at all. I was being irresponsible. Same thing about
Yeah.
posts.
Well, here, so let's talk about. I mean, since we're chatting, the guy Wood's asking some questions out there. There's a bunch of people listening. Nobody's saying anything. So this isn't a lecture. Feel free to be part of the show. We do these live because we both value the interactive part of this internet. So I think that's a lot like when I think of like the flag code, or there's got to be other things like religion. There's got to be other things that people hold sacred or dear, and you. Even if you don't, there's a level of reverence or respect for the idea that other people do hold it. And it's one of those treat others as you'll be treated type of things. Like, I don't think there's a law that says you got to respect all the guns out there or all the manufacturers or anything like that. But yeah, when we attack our own shit as like jokes and comedy, there's just a million things we can have jokes and comedy about. You can make the decision not to joke about, I don't know, like a Rome or something, like some gun from the Saturday Night Special days or the Suicide Special days, right?
Hmm.
Like no one's wandering around talking about Suicide Special guns. Is that because nobody remembers them, or because it would be inappropriate to go around saying Suicide Special all the time? Or maybe it's literally just a practical thing that on the internet, if you started saying that, like I'm already saying it too much. Like I can't. You're not allowed to say that on the internet. You have to say other words to mean that because the censors, not the censors, but the logarithms that monitor for keywords are going to trigger, it's going to hit and basically penalize the stream or whatever. So that's one of the reasons people won't talk about that set of old guns that were made kind of pre 1920s to 30s, where they were kind of like almost decorative guns, but people would buy them and use them, not understanding that they're decorative more than anything, like made to look like a pirate gun or made to look like some gun from Agatha Christie book, and put bullets in it and have to, have accidents or whatever you want to call, like what would you call it when it's not a cat? Is it a catastrophic? Whatever you call it when a
Hmm.
gun actually blows up, not just like, oh, I accidentally pulled the trigger or whatever you're trying to say, but like, like the gun will break. So anyway, those guns got a name in the media for a bit, and it kind of went away and got replaced with Saturday Night Specials in most
Hmm.
people's recollection or whatever. But anyway, that's one of those things. Like we don't talk about it, right? The reason we don't talk about it is because what's the point? Like there's nothing to gain from it and only things to lose from it. We just don't see that with, Clip and Magazine. I think is a great example. There's a bunch, like if you ask somebody, just regular person, what do you care about Clip or Magazine when you say it? Like most people are going to not care, or they care one way or the other. There's definitely people that think I'm one of those people that think it's worthwhile to make a differentiation between Clip and Magazine. Like I try not to ever use the wrong word for the wrong thing. And I don't go around stopping people every time they say it incorrectly. But if there's an opportunity to make a point about something, I'll take it to make that point. Because if we expect the antis, who, we expect them to know what an assault rifle is and an assault weapon ain't a thing, but we expect them to understand definitions. And if we're going around being sloppy about it, then that's just inconsistent, right? That's illogical. It's asking someone to do something that we're not willing to do. So it's one of those things. Like, I don't think it's necessary that we say clip in magazine correctly all the time, but I think we're better off if we do. So it's one of those kind of things. Like, there's no reason we have to talk about this or not talk about this, but once you kind of figure it out, it's like, yeah, we're kind of better off if we don't rag on gun companies. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a, like, let's say High Point. We all know we all like High Point, but for a while there, it was like a thing to make fun of them for whatever reason. Or maybe it's better. Let's talk about holsters, like Uncle Mike holsters. For what they are, they're
Hmm.
fine. But if you try to put them in the role for something they're not designed for and they're not made for, and they literally were designed like a million years ago before some of the stuff even existed, of course they're not the right thing for the job. But to go around laughing at them because they're the wrong thing for the job, for something they didn't even sign up for and they're not trying to do, is stupid. It makes you look dumb, right? But at the same time, it gets laughs, and it's not that big a deal. So no one's going to stop the conversation and go, we shouldn't laugh about Uncle Mike's holsters because I guess that's what I'm doing now, is taking that time to make that point that I don't know, what do we do? Is that just time on the clock, like, and then personal preference? Because I know people that have been around guns forever and they'll still make fun of an Uncle Mike's holster because they don't give a shit. And I don't think people have to. I'm just saying I think we're better off when we understand we can make it. We can decide to give a shit. I don't know. That long lecture there.
Well, I actually, when people call something a clip or and not a magazine, I actually like to yell at them and throw things because I think that helps make the community grow. It makes people more understanding if you like belittle them and like question their parenthood just because they use a wrong word or wrong phrase. Um,
Well,
that's
you're
how I
kidding,
handle
but that's a thing, and it took me a while to figure that out. But when blah blah blah, somebody's having a conversation, if you just come up and go, "Hey, that's a magazine you're talking about, not a clip," and then walk away, some people will take that as you just dissed them, or like you're telling them they're an idiot, and you're coming over there to set the record straight or something. Like, some people, uh, there's whatever you call that, like obliviousness on both sides. Like, the person who's trying to help is not paying attention to the situation, and the person who just got whatever interrupted
it.
doesn't always realize the goal there or the intent there. And that's a good point. And especially when stuff is online, like, if, like you say, like,
Oh,
I don't know,
definitely.
like a dude bro type or a vet bro, like a lot of
Hmm.
people and a lot of cops, I think, fall into this. Like, they kind of dig the drill instructor, whatever you call that, like vibe or
100%.
something, right?
Yep.
And it's fine. Like, it works a lot. Like, and sometimes if you just need to go into, like, I'm going to the gym and working out mode, like having somebody yell at you to, it's fine because you're, listening to the radio or something, and just getting somebody to yell commands at you or how many reps or something like that, it makes sense. Like, if you're going to do PT, in other words, having somebody yell
Hmm.
at you to tell you what to do is awesome, because otherwise you have to sit there thinking about how many sit-ups you've done, right? Like, it's actually kind of cool. So if you think about that some of us kind of dig that. There's times when having a drill instructor yelling at you is useful. Um, People that aren't used to that and don't understand that there's times that a drill instructor's yelling is useful, like, don't get that that's cool. Kind of like army cadences, right? Like, some people don't understand cadences at all, but I'll tell you what, like, I don't care where I'm walking or what I'm doing, cadences make it go better. You know what I mean? Like, it
Hmm.
just happens. And, especially if you're going up a hill or just doing something grueling, something's wrong with your foot or something, and you just know you got to get through it. Like, having some stuff go on in your mind to pass time. Anyway, there's reasons for this stuff, and people don't always appreciate it. But so what they're seeing is, why does this guy need to yell at us? And everything isn't just black and white, blah blah blah, right or wrong. But in reality, like, that's just their they've got some fond feelings of that, and that's just giving them that recollection or whatever. They're not trying to push it down everybody's face that everybody has to be a drill instructor. But again, if they present it as, hey, we put drill instructor type of stuff in our training, there's people that'll never touch that training, right? Like, oh, there's a drill instructors, and I hate that.
And it's true. I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, no, I don't do that, obviously. The way I handle it, if somebody's saying, it depends on the context, and sometimes it really makes no difference. When I'm like talking to cops at work, depends on how I know them. And how it's for each conversation. If it will throw us off track with it because of who I'm dealing with, it's one thing. But a lot of the people at work know not only am I the gun guy, but like I got paperwork that goes with that. You know what I mean? Like I'm my actual instructor. And when they say clip it, I go magazine. Real quick, right there, just magazine. Go ahead. I was like, it's a thing. I'm sorry. It's a thing with me. And they were like, all right, keep it rolling. And they may make a joke with it, but I make sure, I try to slip it in there if it's necessary. Other times I don't. It just depends on the conversation we're having and whether it's what do we call it, a teachable moment, or you're just gonna slow the conversation down and add nothing to it.
Exactly right. Like sometimes you drop something and it's grease and the wheels and it just the right time at the right place at the right time, and then other times you're dropping a piece of glue on the track and you derail
Hmm.
everything. So yeah, it's just probably learning after some amount of time, right? How to or
Yeah,
when to do that.
when to do it, how to talk, and it's like again, I'm not doing it to belittle anybody. And because these guys know me, I'm talking almost 2 decades of working with me. They know right now that I'm not going to go, hey, I know more than you. But one, that's a given when it comes to certain topics, just that one thing. But we're in a prison situation, we're in a jail environment where they know a whole lot more than me because they're in an environment in a different level. You know what I mean? They're serving another level, so they know 20 things more than me. Don't get too cocky because your life could be at risk. The person you belittled because you had to tell him it was a magazine, not a clip, maybe the person coming to rescue you from being assaulted.
How long do you think the P320 stuff will keep going?
Oh, it'll go for a while now. There's no coming out of it right now because SIG keeps making what do you call it? I was gonna
Their
say public
chess moves.
affairs, public affairs, but yeah, just bad moves when it comes to their announcements, how they're handling things, their statements. It's just all bad. I mean, just whatever call. I swear, my job should be they should pay me like a consulting fee of six figures, just to sit in the room, let them come up with all the ideas, and after they all agree on it, I just take it and spin that idea 180 degrees, and go, yeah, this will work, because whatever you guys think tanking is always wrong by 180 degrees. It ends today. That was horrific, and you keep doubling down on it. And instead of just every decision they made was bad, even their announcement was bad. So it is what it is. I mean, truthfully, right now, I expect them to say they hired Tim Kennedy as their new spokesperson for the SIG P320. Like I put zero doubt that that could be their next move.
They're like, hey, we can save this. Get Tim on the line.
We just need to get someone that has a great reputation with the military. Call Tim. We had him here last year. He was there last year for their launch, their next week, their next day, SIG next event. You can pull it up right now, and he's talking about how great their products are. I'm like, man, both of you guys are having a bad year. Um, so that's one thing, and we just have to be careful that another company doesn't enter that fray. I'm not saying the heat SIG's getting is not deserved because incidences are happening. Again, they're making bad calls. But what if, because you can use bots, rumor mills, everything else to trash another company? Let's just throw I don't know, let's say they don't go for something that's a military contractor, but what if they start going after smaller companies like Caltech or North American Arms, because their small revolvers don't have a safety on. Because that's the losses they faced in court. And it seems that all you have to do is keep saying things on boards and making sure you click on stuff and people just jump all over it. We have to be aware that that manipulation could be happening. Understand the anti-gunners fight dirty.
For
Um,
sure. They got to figure it out
and
at some point, right?
yeah, they got to figure it out. Oh, hire a consultant to figure out and pay outside people to figure it out. And there's enough of those. And there's enough gun people, and I do the whole quote, people that just want to get famous off the firearms industry, or make money off the firearms industry that'll freaking, I was going to say mercenary themselves out, but sell themselves out, to go, yeah, this is one way. Just start attacking the smaller companies and talk about how unsafe they are.
Hmm.
And just tie it in historical wise with the Ring of Fire guns and with the this guns and with the Saturday Night Special guns, and just keep doing that. Because, and then all you have to do is have a politician that's trying to take up one shooting that happens, one accident that happens. It doesn't take much to stack this stuff. Um, because SIG has gone from, well, it's on the cops having guns go off, and we know cops are, aren't to be trusted because many of them hold guns just complacent with firearm safety, so they have more accidents, and plus also they carry them 8 to 12 hours a day, 5 to 7 days a week. So there's more of a chance of an incident of a firearm happening on the hip of a cop. So we went from that to every time the gun goes off, it's obviously a bad design. It's like, why can't it be something's happening? But that first thing I was saying is true too. A lot of times people are complacent with firearm safety, especially when they're around the firearm
connecting to Wi-Fi.
continuum. And that's one of the things that's just
Wi-Fi connected.
Sorry,
one
my
of the things
robots
that
are
really,
so.
yeah, I, I see your Wi-Fi is connected. Um, but one of those things that's a little annoying that people have the lack of critical thinking skills, and they definitely won't be a contrarian and push back against the mainstream argument. I try to do that as a standard. Whatever mainstream is saying, sometimes I have to remind myself to go against it. Just maybe look at this another way. Now everything isn't like that, but a lot of things are like
I think it's always at least taking a look at it that way, if not taking a position that way.
that.
All
Why
right.
do they
Well,
want me
so
to pay attention to this? Why do they want me to look at this?
exactly.
What? We just had an incident that happened. I thought we had really good examples of firearms being used and things we can learn from them. And then this New York shooting happened, and they didn't want to talk about any of the other stuff. They were actively ignoring. I think it was Michigan, where the Perry guy, I think his name was Daniel Perry, stopped the stabber that was in the Walmart stabbing people. He used his EDC to draw down on the guy and hold him until the police got there and arrested the stabber, he stabbed 12 people in a Walmart. And this guy, former Marine, faced him in the parking lot at gunpoint and held him until the cops came. That was one. And then, like a day later or 2 days later in Anchorage, Alaska, outside of a club, somebody bought a gun and started shooting a security guard that confronted them, and one of the security guards flanked the shooter, had already gone to his trunk, popped the trunk, pulled out his AR, and domed the shooter, just dropped him right there and put rounds in with an AR-15, and it was all recorded on security footage and it was put out in the raw for you to see. Um, I thought those were good civilian self-defense, gun uses, and the news doesn't pick up on it. The reason we saw it is because somebody posted the story from Anchorage on Twitter. So it only got local news coverage in Anchorage, Alaska, and then it hit social media. The thing with the other guy, the black guy that stopped it, it didn't fit any of the narrative. It wasn't a shooting. The hero was a black dude. And, no one was killed with all the stabbing. Not that their whole lives haven't been upset, or they may have permanent, damage for the rest of their lives, physical damage. But that's not a mass shooting, so let's not talk about it. And then the stupidness in New York City happens. And again, it's not a mass shooting. We have what, four? Is it three dead or four?
You talking about the guy who killed a bunch of people? They say he was going to NFL, but he went to
Yeah,
some
Black Rock. Yeah,
Black
no, he,
Rock.
he went to Black Rock, but they don't want to talk about Black Rock because when you point
No, he
out
was
Black
supposed.
Rock,
He played football, so he went to the NFL. Tony.
yeah, uh huh. He played football in high school, so he was upset with the NFL. Instead of, he probably owns houses and was thrown out of one or couldn't buy one because BlackRock is buying up a significant portion of the housing in America, forcing people out of them. Whatever.
So I'm
Either
not a
way.
big fan of like the this happened, so therefore you need to, right? But at the
Hmm.
same time, the same thing is kind of what I was saying before. Like as much as I don't like the exploiters, I want to give gun owners, new modern, call like modern, like new gun owners, chance to get annoyed and frustrated by the same shit that we got annoyed and frustrated with eventually, because that's the only way to get to that point is you have to do it a bunch of times. So the same thing with this is that as much as I don't like just worrying, well, it's not so I think it's for me. Whenever one of the first things I did was it was Jaeger at tactical response. I'm trying to shut
Hmm.
this thing. When tactical response came out here, man, I'm thinking back a long time ago without getting into a big long story. It was like 2003 or something. Like it was a long time ago, and but the thing I went to was in 2004, I think. And anyway, there was a place that had a bunch of cameras, and we did the training in there. It was force on force training, but we did it in which is blue guns for bad guys, and well, maybe simunitions, I guess, for both good guys and bad guys, but a lot of blue guns and a lot of simunition guns. So you're still drawing, and you're still either going to get hit with a simunition or you're shooting with a simunition, but it's all not live fire or anything. But that gives you a chance to have scenarios. So walking up to an ATM, walking around a corner, being in a parking lot. We were in this building area with a bunch of, it was like a warehouse, and it had a bunch of cameras for security for the warehouse. And then we were out in the parking lot and stuff. So they had all these security cameras. So the question came up, should we film this with the security cameras? And then all the students can watch their whatever, like reactions, their performance, whatever you want to call that. And Yeager was adamant against that. He's like, no, there's things that'll happen. Like if you pull to the left for the rest of your life, you're going to be thinking, I can't pull to the left because of one time you watched yourself pull to the left. Like whatever it is, like he didn't. And I imagine there's different coaching theories out there, but he was adamant
Hmm.
about like, let's not do this because I don't want anyone playing to the camera. There was a lot of reasons he brought up, and I was like, holy crap. And that's one of the reasons I honestly got hooked on this is how thorough force on tactical response force on force is. And I'm challenging anybody to tell me it's different who's actually experienced it and then experienced other people's force on force. Like he went way beyond what a regular gun class would get into. And part of it was that kind of concept, that kind of theory. And that wasn't in the curriculum. It just happened to be come up because it was a bunch of guys from Cav Arms there, if anybody remembers them back in the day. And they were
Hmm.
doing videos and stuff. So they kind of wanted videos of their doing stuff so that they could incorporate it into their projects and stuff. So, they were comfortable with it and they were down. And the guy who was doing it was like, yeah, yeah, let's do it. And that's when, like I say, Jaeger was kind of adamant, like, no, we're not going to be doing that. And here's why. And anyway, so I guess as much as I'm against looking at something that happened because just because the bad guy did this to the old lady in the video, I don't want to rest of my life I'm worried that the old guy, the bad guy is going to do this and I react inappropriately to something like you know what I mean, like I don't want to create a reaction in my own self based on just random shit I'm watching on TV. Anyway, that being said, the other side of that is if we allow, like everything you just said, dude, if we allow the media to ignore the shit that they selectively ignore and us to just sit here, like we shouldn't be allowing each other to sit around and just watch the media do whatever the fuck they want. Like, how long do we act like we don't have the ability to do something about this? Like, if there was some messaging that we want to change, like we've changed it. Like, we've changed a lot of messaging out there. Why don't we start doing something about changing this messaging? And I'm stopping. This is my new thing for 2025. My new July resolution or whatever is I'm going to quit blaming the national level organizations for not doing shit because they're not going to do anything. Like they're not going to do it,
Hmm.
right? But maybe we just need new stuff. Like we're allowed to have new stuff. Like new gun owners want to contribute. Here's a place to contribute. Let's change the media narrative, and we don't have to wait for CBS and NBC to decide it's cool to do so. We just do things that do that and that create that. But I think you're right. Like the fact that I don't know so much about the Alaska one, but where was the other one in New York? No, not New York.
Uh,
The one
I
that where the
think it
guy
was
stopped the
Michigan.
yeah in the parking lot.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
everything about that is epic. Everything about that shows why you don't have to ever pull a trigger. You just have to be willing and have the thing with you in order to be willing. And what's the word? Like able? Like like
Hmm.
he was willing, he was able, and reason he was is because of his mindset and his however his parents raised him, I guess. But and then because he carried a gun with him, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to have nothing grab and do what he did. But he stopped the guy without pulling the trigger, right? As far as I understand, and the
Yep.
guy had
He
stabbed
stopped
like
the
a
guy with
bunch
a
of people,
.12.
and everything about that is what people carry for, right? Like one, the
Yep.
actual situation, but then two, the concept of, if something bad goes down, I can't control when that's going to happen. The bad guy does, and they don't schedule that shit. Like you don't get to decide that's going to happen when I'm ready on a Wednesday and I'm going to like stretch beforehand. So that guy was just walking out a fucking parking lot like we all do how many times a day, depending on who
Yep.
you are and what you're doing. And again, that's like you say, not just the frustration that the media won't do nothing about it, but the fact that we're not like we don't have that guy like that. Like we all know what Ruby Ridge is. Unfortunately, like I
Hmm.
don't have to elaborate on that, right? Where that's a thing
Yep.
that's just happened. We don't have to talk about Waco. Everybody knows what that is. Now, I'm not saying every one of these circumstances needs to be there, but there could be I don't know. I could be doing this too, but like some kind of a website that monitors this stuff. You guys did it with the podcast for a long time. I mean, that wasn't the only thing you were doing with Rob's podcast, but it was, part of it. I'm sure is, the idea that you're talking about it and somebody could come along and go, oh, wow, this is another way that guns in society are beneficial, and it has nothing to do with gunfights. I mean, it
Yep.
could have been a gunfight, but it was, it's like adjacent to a gunfight, but it was actually the exact opposite. It ended violence.
It ended violence without someone's life being lost.
Oh, and
Now
then
there are
I
less.
just want to throw one other final because there's so many facets to this, but I think a big
Hmm.
facet that goes untapped, like it's a resource that we just leave sitting on the table. Think about the bad guys that are out there talking to each other and doing whatever the hell bad guys do to be bad guys better. Some of them are trying to be better bad guys, or maybe they're just bragging to each other. But whenever they're having their bad guy get together, are they talking about, I don't know, they're talking about their successes, I'm sure, but they're also going to be talking about shit like this. And anybody who's thinking about being a bad guy and maybe I keep saying bad guy because I don't want to offend whoever the hell might be offended by whatever the hell I'm saying. But what do you call somebody who decides to pick up a knife and go stabbing people? Either a fucking bad guy or somebody who's whatever. I don't want to say whatever, but someone who's not all 100% there, right? Like not. I'm gonna
Hmm.
say sick in the head. I think I'm allowed to say that. And in that
Yeah.
case, they may not be have 100% of their faculties. But if it's just someone who's stressed and is about to snap, even knowing that somebody's about to shoot him in the face might stop even someone. I think, I don't mean I'm not a doctor, but there's the potential that just knowing that that's a possibility
So
might stop somebody from acting on it.
some, but
Maybe.
and the only reason I say some over that one is
Oh,
because
I 100%. Yeah.
Mike Sedini in his podcast when he was talking to one of the kid convicted, the guy, man, grown adult, convicted of being a mass shooter when he was a young dude, and he served his time in jail, in prison, and everything. But he was talking to Mike, and he said, no, that didn't stop him. That wouldn't stop him because that's what he wanted. So, what I point out and why I think Rob Morris's podcast, Self Defense Gun Stories, was very important because it was dedicated to civilian uses of self defense. It tells you different mindsets behind things. Everybody isn't, again, depend on when you came into, firearms ownership as a self defender. Isn't the crackhead that breaks into your house if you came in the 90s and the 2000s? Isn't the meth head, depending on the year you came in, trying to steal your pipes out of your house? No, it could be a person that's mentally ill or breaking into houses because they're in a neighborhood. It could be a relative at your cookout that decides that he was sick and tired of your aunt, his wife, and he was going to just choke her to death at a family event because that was one of the shows I was on. It could be anything that you stumble into, including you're just putting your stuff in the car. And here comes a dude that has stabbed 12 people inside of a store and he's trying to do it in the parking lot, continued in the parking lot. So your self defense can be a plethora of things. And that's why I thought it was important that shows like Rob's exist. Now, active self protection is another one, but they only talk about one incident a day. And Rob would talk about four different incidents and then bring in a self defense instructor to break them down and talk about what they did right and what could have been done better. He didn't point out the negative, he didn't try to scare you with stuff. They actually went over news stories and just we Monday morning quarterback news stories. So it's not something we made up. These things actually happened, and I really think it's worth because the podcast is still out there. Rob just stepped back because it was a lot of work. He worked with I think about nine different self defense instructors. I was blessed to be one of them, and you got a different point of view based on each instructor. Everybody wasn't on the same page. We had about half were female instructors, and I liked a lot of them were like, yeah, you don't have to get involved. You're doing nothing wrong if you walk away, and it sucks that that person was stabbed, but your responsibility is to you and your family and getting home at the end of the day. And if you decide to not be the good Samaritan, I mean, it costs you less than going to court.
Well, that's what I want to say, like a fatalistic, but I think there's a practical
Hmm.
side of that exact same position, and that is that bad guys are assholes, and bad guys are actors. So they will do stuff in front of you that they know a good person will react to in a way, and that's what bad people do is they create situations that are like funnels where a good person, a moral person, like a person who cares about others, is going to react so that they can then stab you in the kidney or whatever. And then both of
Hmm.
them take your wallet and leave you there, but they were in cahoots, right? Like, so, that's sort of the trick thing that you talk about at a CCW class. Or I always liked that when CCW classes would bring up something to the effect of, hey, you drive up to pick up your kids at school and you look over and there's horrible stuff happening in the school, whatever, fill in the blank, parking lot, playground, gym, or whatever. And what do you do? And the sucker bet is to say, I jump into action and save the day by often, the bad guys. And then, but exclamation points, they were film. There was a bunch of kids in the film class filming a horror movie. Where do you get off just
Hmm.
assuming just because you're seeing something from your perspective that looks like XYZ in 2025 when people can
Hmm.
buy special effects that are amazing and they have cameras that are amazing film, whatever, they look like phones or that are phones. And you're not necessarily going to see huge production value and lights and stuff like the old fashioned days, like in the movies. Somebody could be filming something very realistically, and that's the style of filming, to not have a bunch of cameras and be able to walk around and everything is realistic and you come walking in here and start killing people like you're a murderer. So I think that's I don't know, but you know what I mean, like
I
that same
mean,
kind
if
of.
yeah, I mean, there's been enough prank videos put out by people that yeah, there's not a whole camera setup. And I think pretty much all of us have seen someone making a TikTok video in the wild or recording in the wild. Hell, if you pass by me on the turnpike at any given time, you'll see me making a video and doing a live. So, yeah, you can be set up because some of these people want a live reaction from bystanders about whatever the heck they're showing. We had an arrest here in Woodbridge, New Jersey, of a dude that didn't contact the township that they were going to be filming a movie. And it was a chase scene with people shooting guns out the windows of a car. Now, they were hanging out the windows shooting airsoft guns, which of course they'd add sound later, but they didn't bother telling the township or getting a license to film.
Well, if I see airsoft, I immediately assume it's one of those silent pistols that I've heard about that Trump tried to make legal for anybody to buy.
Yes, he took away the $200 obstacle, and now anyone can get them.
It's easier to get a I forget what that thing, like a phone.
It
It's
was
easier to get a cell phone
yeah,
now.
yeah, it's easy to get a gun than a cell phone.
I mean, I go to the store and buy a cell phone for $50, and then if I decide to turn it on, I give them my name. But if I don't, if I'm just using it as a phone or a Rolodex or something, like they don't know I own that phone. All right, we got an actual
Maritime.
question.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go no, go ahead. What's the
Well, I was gonna
question?
say we got an actual question. So we do have a couple. We have a lot of people watching actually, but we have a couple of people chatting out there. Woods is one of them. Thanks for joining us each week. Woods asks, has Smith gone down in quality control, especially in revolvers? Recently bought a Taurus 856 instead. I definitely seen Slim ragging on Smiths all the time. Doesn't barbecue rag on Smiths? I don't have a Smith. Wait, do I? I don't know if I have a Smith revolver anymore, but I've had ones that were fine. But man, I've just held so many Smith and Wesson revolvers over the years. I do not think of them as poor quality. I guess I go look at them, next time I have an opportunity to hold them and try to compare them. But Tony's going to be the expert on this one. I shouldn't be doing anything.
No, I just have more recent experience. I'm no expert. Matter of fact, I'm tactically fondling a Smith right now. And I just had one in my hands Thursday night at We Shoot. Uh, yes, their quality control has gone down, and their customer service kind of sucks. They need to make some improvements. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's just, but lucky for them, everybody else's quality has gone down and that customer service can need improvement. Who makes revolvers at this point? We have Kimber making their revolver. We have Kimber, we have Diamondback. Now we're talking centerfire, 38, yada yada. We have Kimber, Diamondback, Ruger, Smith, Colt. And then you get into things like Davison, I mean not Davison's, Taylor and Company, but they're doing imports. You know what I mean? They're
Well, if you're
importing.
saying U.S. companies, because you got Taurus and Bursa, I think Bursa still makes them. But some
Versa
B
doesn't make
company.
revolvers.
Is it not Benelli? There was a B something that made revolvers. Anyway,
I
but
mean, we have
Taurus.
Chiapa, but like we have very small companies, but yeah, the bigger companies they've let some stuff go. I've had complaints about Smith and Wesson in general with their quality control and also with their what do you call it, customer service. It all can be improved. I think Taurus has stepped up both their quality control and their customer service. And Taurus has their executive line of pistols out, excuse me, revolvers out now. And I was very impressed by those. When Colt brought out their Python and then brought out their Snake series, I'm looking at them like, well, that's great, but you're just banking on the name because you've changed the design of these guns. They have less parts. Supposedly, they have better triggers and they're more dependable. Because a lot of the stuff going on with Colt is really nostalgia. Like people were remembering the greatness of the Python, but I'm one of those dudes that came in later and remembered just people getting pythons that sucked because Colt was going through some stuff with their factories and strikes and their quality control fell off. And they were still shipping guns with knowingly they were bad. Also with Smith, Yankee even talks about Smith and Wesson's freaking quality dropping off when they changed from doing pin barrels when stuff was like not aligned correctly and leaving the factories. So yes, they've all gone through stuff. They should be held. Nostalgia is one of the worst things I think that can that companies allowed to live off of. It's like I totally understand that you dig the company, but when they start putting out a product that sucks, and you go, "Yeah, but two world wars." Yeah, it felt great, but I spent my money today, and I wanted a gun that worked and looked good, and actually had decent quality control and holds up. It's great you won two world wars, but the gun I bought from you had tool marks all over it. The finish was jacked up and it rattled. So yeah, no, you don't get that buy off of me, and that's what's happening with. the larger American companies. I mean, how long did Remington get away with having the jacked up Remington 700 that they knew about? And they just figured it would be easier. People will keep buying it, and they just freaking pay the lawsuits off. I'm over here
I'm
playing
just
with my
thinking.
686.
I'm just thinking with even with interchangeable parts, which is sort of the whole thing that guns. One of the reasons guns as a machine are such a integral part of humanity.
Hmm.
They came around at a time when everything was still being made one at a time. We were creating machines. We were in a bit of a revolution of
Hmm.
knowledge because we were accumulating knowledge as humans. Where every once in a while we would have a war and destroy all knowledge. Tony made a joke about that earlier, right? But
Hmm.
so like as guns were being invented, we were also like cool with with holding on to knowledge and appreciating that and like living the rewards of that. And uh, as soon as they came out with Colt, as soon as Colt with the revolver came out with the idea of like, I'm going to take these 8 guns out of this bag, I think is how he did it. And then he took them all apart and put all the pieces of those 8 guns, so 8 barrels, 8 grips, 8 cylinders, 8 screws or whatever they were, into a bag, and then had his assistants go through and sort it all out. And after completely being random, like there's no way that any of those parts were together anymore. They were all just random in a bag. Then they, in front of everybody, assembled these 8 revolvers, and they all worked. And that was like unprecedented. That was the AI of the time. Like, what? You just made machines that can be interchangeably taken apart and put back together? No one even considered that. Everything was made by artisans, one at a freaking time. You would use a plan and you'd make something the same way, but you didn't make the same thing. Like literally, that comes from guns. Like, does anybody appreciate that? No, because the hell if they're ever going to tell us about that. But that's what Colt contributed. One of the many things Colt contributed to the whole mix. And this wasn't like Colt was like, I'm going to work my whole life to contribute this one thing and then I'm going to take a break and retire. Like, this is just one of the many things he casually did on a Thursday one time to sell his guns. And when he did that, an industrial revolution happened. And now we have, I mean, think of everything that came out of the Industrial Revolution. Like, we wouldn't have anything that we've got in the world today if Colt hadn't figured out that it's easier to sell guns that are interchangeable and that he could accomplish that. So, anyway, I just like to throw it out there that uh, um, that's a massive element of guns or whatever, or like I keep saying, guns and humanity, where we intersection. That's a cool word of saying it. The way guns and humanity intersect.
Well, we have to, because look, weapons and war, it's just something we are, as a species. And when one advances, war advances, weapons advance. That go hand in hand. But also technology advances during times of war too. And the longer the war, the more the tech. More intense the war, the more the tech. We watched things like EMTs and first responders just come from the use of corpsmen in the military around the world, like a dedicated group of people whose only job is to save lives and treat for shock and stop the bleeding and get someone from the front line to the emergency hospital, which again used to be miles behind the line, and then with Korea it moved up with mass units, and pretty much it's like pretty much known, if they can get you from where you got shot to our medical facilities in what they call the golden hour, you'll probably live. Like a higher percentage of you living than ever before. That didn't come about because we're freaking huggy, nicey people. No, it's because we're freaking savages and figure out new ways to kill each other. But also we figure out new ways to heal each other to get us back in the fight or not to end that many lives. So all that's coming from that. The fact that we have less deaths in combat than ever before is because we came up with body armor to stop the body from being pierced by usually artillery or roadside bombs or
Like
explosions more
shrapnel,
so than bullets.
flying
Yeah,
metal. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we came up with things like penicillin and washing your hands, and all of many of those developments come from our violent nature as human beings. So they're gonna be tied together.
That's a great point. As you're explaining that, I'm thinking also when you think of like people go, like more cost $1 billion. It's not like a billion people got a buck to go there. Like people are wearing something like $44,000 worth of gear now, and
Mm-hmm.
the munitions cost a shit ton. And what you're talking about, like somebody gets shot in the leg, we pretty much will fly a helicopter over there, which costs however many millions of dollars an hour to fly
Mm-hmm.
to pick that guy up and, like you say, get him somewhere within an hour so that he's not a casualty. And at the same time, we'll build $1 million worth of thing that'll take out everybody in the town that threw that shrapnel at him. So
Mm-hmm.
we're spending a lot of money, but it's going into
Well,
uh,
yeah,
like
it's
our
amazing to me.
a massive amount of infrastructure. I don't know what to call like the
Oh,
stuff that you stand
mhm.
on to be the fighter is like immense. People don't even think about how aircraft carriers
Well,
shoot airplanes around, but there's like thousands of people in there to do that.
yeah, there's 5,000 people dedicated to just getting those planes off the deck.
And it's like
When's the
that
guy
everything,
gets
right? Like
shot?
the military is like that. Like there's hundreds of people so that a couple of people can do their thing.
100%. The guy gets shot in the leg and taken off the battlefield. He got shot in the leg. He got thrown in the back of the thing. The helicopter came and landed him, taken to something that's better than most trauma centers in your hometown. And this one's like 5 miles away. So, boom, he's there. They give him treatment. And even if it's complicated, if it's deeper than that, he gets put on a friggin' medical evac plane and flown to Germany to another world class hospital. And once he's stabilized there, he gets flown from Germany to freaking Houston to go to the world class hospital the military has there, or Bethesda in Maryland. Like that guy is at the end of millions and millions of dollars spent to get him back home or back on his feet. So yes, oh the word this cost $1 billion, $1 trillion. Yeah. Just those wounded people right there got treatment that would break your insurance company.
Right. And to create that infrastructure, again, people will be like, "Oh, that's worthless" or whatever. But yeah, like all that trickles down, or whatever you want to say. Like all of that is reapplied to, when you're not pulling a military whatever casualty off of
Hmm.
a battlefield, it turns into a hiker on a hill or a accident victim, or I mean, what do I call it, a car accident victim on a bridge or something. Like all
Yeah.
of that stuff comes into play. But I'm not trying to. I just thought that was interesting that you brought an interesting point with that point of view. So yes, Woods, that's your answer to the Smith and Wesson revolvers. You're welcome. Some people would say we ramble, but I don't. I disagree.
I don't
Uh,
see that at all.
I don't know where they come up with that. Those are the haters. You said, since we have to use our own comments over here, Taurus seems to be stepping up their revolver quality. The executive series is nice. I don't to be honest, Gizzard. I hang out with Gizzard all the time, so I trust that
Mhm.
Gizzard is doing all the Taurus videos. I haven't done a Taurus video in forever. They were always a cool company. But yeah, I mean, I guess I've owned 5 Tauruses and like 4 of them. I don't really remember, but I've owned a bunch of them over the years, and pretty much all of them have broke. The first one I bought was a revolver, and I bought it
Mhm.
broke, and the guys sold it to me cheap, and it was a gun shop, and I was a kid, and he's like, "Hey, you want a cheap gun? I'll sell you this one. It's decent. It's broke, so I'll sell it to you super cheap. Then you send it back to Taurus, they'll fix it for free." And it'll just take a while. So that was the thing. Like he had it sitting there and he needed to send it back anyway. So he was just going to sell it to me. So it was mine when it came back, basically. And I did that, and it lasted a long time. And I think I probably shot the shit out of it because I was a kid and I didn't have that many 38s. So I probably
Mhm.
shot it more than you'd normally shoot a little 38 snub beat, but I broke it again. Like it wore out. And it's not like I broke it and the cylinder broke off. It was something inside just probably bent or got worn or something. So anyway, it would slip and it just wouldn't work right. So I sent it back again and they fixed it. So, I don't know. Do you complain about something that didn't cost you a bunch up front? Sometimes, and when what didn't cost you a bunch up front, so it's either materials or time, right? It's not the design. The designs are solid on Tauruses, so it's either they're saving money on materials or time or labor. So something in there is going to create some issues. So you get something, and like I had a Taurus 44 Magnum revolver that was awesome, and want to talk about it because it had a bad ending. But again, I bought that one cheap off of a guy because it was broke ish. It was like breaking, it wasn't reliable all the time. But it was a gun that I barely ever shot. So having that one every once in a while, it didn't feed well. I didn't care. I didn't shoot it that much. So to me, it was not that big a deal. And I knew I could send it to Taurus and get it fixed anytime I wanted. So for me, I'll acknowledge that they used to not be that great, but they always stood behind them. Like they've never not fixed them. There was, whatever, you have to send it to Brazil, they'd whoop it. You don't expect it to get it back in next day air or something, but if it's not your only gun, anyway. So that's my ramble on Taurus. But like I say, I haven't picked up a Taurus in forever. I really don't even know what I'm talking about with the modern stuff.
So I went on a tactical fondle spree because it hit me at Great American Outdoor Show a couple of years ago because I saw Taurus's executive series come out, and then what happened is everything was close together at the Great American Outdoor Show. You had Taurus, Smith, is it SAR Industries with their revolver, Taurus, Smith, SAR, and Colt were all within walking distance.
That makes a
So I
big
was
deal.
able,
If you got to walk like half an hour and you shoot three other guns between revolvers, that's not the same as like you're saying, like where they're right there.
yeah, they were right there. Oh, and Diamondback. So I was able to hit all of those like within minutes. I went to the Diamondback booth, which is right by the door at the Great American Outdoor Show, videoed that, click, 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 click. All right, cool. And then just beelined it straight over to Colt, grabbed theirs, click, 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 and then boom, straight to Smith. It was like, all right, I got this, I got that, I got that. And I think it was a fourth one because I videotaped them all. And I was like, you know what? The Diamondback with their smooth trigger and their smooth single action is neck and neck, again, in my opinion, on the field of the guns that go to shows, because that's all I had to go on, or side to side with Smith that is ahead of Colt. And Taurus is close enough that really it doesn't make much of a difference. Like all of them are pretty close when it comes to the feel of the firearm. And I'm like, that's really good because we're in a what I like to call the golden era of firearms because now you have a lot more choices than they had when we were growing up. I mean, really, when we were growing up, it was either Smith or Colt, and that was it. And I don't even think I went over to the Ruger booth because it's in a weird place at the Great American Outdoor Show. It's almost separated. It's over on one side against the other wall. So I can't remember. I might have gone there and checked them out too, but I somehow don't think I did. Mainly because I was leaving them out of it because they're bigger, they're heavier, and again, they make a good quality firearm, but they cast theirs so the gun's bigger and heavier. So you have the SP 101, the GP 100, yeah, and that's it. Oh, and the LCR and the LCX, I think it is. So they have their polymer guns. I just really never liked those, and I never gave them a chance. So hopefully somebody reminds me of that before at next year's shot or something, so I can check those out. But I checked enough of them out to go. We're in a pretty good spot right here in America right now with firearms. That we have access to a bunch of quality firearms without breaking the bank. But I just like to point out that you're getting pushed certain firearms through firearms companies and influencers that have you thinking the whole world is nothing but staccatos and high price striker fire guns. I'm like, that's not the case at all. We have a lot of guns between hell now at this point, about $250 to $500 that puts you in a really good spot. That gets you a quality firearm that most people can afford if saving up for a little while. Brand new, by the way, not used, brand new guns that will serve them well as a firearm, especially at the rate most people shoot guns. They're not going to wear them out. They have decent quality control. The customer service might be another thing with some of them, but they have decent quality control.
I'm trying to read some of the comments to see. I'm probably not hitting ones that are current because I was stuck on the other side. I was stuck on the past comments there.
Mm.
Woods is saying they've been making great guns for decades, and he's carried an SP 101 since 1993.
Yep, that's about when they came out, if I remember. Because I remember when they came out, I thought they were really cool. GP100, GP 100. I think that's what the other gun was.
People
Um,
forget because they don't, unless they watch old movies. I just happen to have been watching a bunch of maybe 90s, early 90s, 80s movies, though. And
hmm
cops used to carry revolvers. So when you watch those movies, think of like, oh, what's that one Eddie Murphy movie? Something cop.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Thanks. I was going to say LA Cop, and that didn't sound right. So Beverly Hills Cop. Isn't he carrying a big revolver in that one?
No,
It was. Oh,
everybody
it's
else
not.
is carrying a revolver, and Eddie Murphy's carrying a Browning high power.
Oh, okay. But that's the era of everybody. All the cops were either carrying like a little 38 Model 10, which is one of my favorite, kind of just 38 little kind of military gun, like an issue police gun, or your I call them like the short snakes, right? Like some kind of 357, but not with this incredibly long barrel, maybe a 4-inch barrel or something. But
Oh,
then with the big
well,
target sights and shit and the lug so that it looks big on camera. And
the
people used to,
detectives were carrying either Detective Special from Colt or Chief Special from Smith. That was a snubby back in the day. They were carrying a Model 10 or a Model 19, just regular ass revolver. Um,
yep,
Depends on which side of the Mississippi. On the other side was they would carry Colts. It was hilarious because it was almost like the country was split in half. Depends on where the police were, whether they used Colts or Smiths, which is weird because both of them come from the same state, but somehow they sold differently across the Mississippi from each other. Like they
interesting.
switched in popularity, Colt Pepsi, Coke, Coke, Coke Pepsi type thing, and it flip flopped. I got that from listening to an old Dave Spalding interview when he was talking about it.
I was just going to ask, like, I wonder if somebody's done like some kind of cool like documentary on why that was, or just the facet of it.
Well, I really think we need to get those questions answered by people that were there. Like we were there in the 80s, 90s as kids watching the switch over, so we knew what we were paying attention to at that time. Well, there were guys there doing the switch over or doing, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s also. And they remember it, you know what I mean? They don't have to go and pull up an old copy of Guns and Ammo. They remember it happening. They remember the conversations they had at gun stores or with their gun friends or in deer camp or wherever dudes got together and talked guns. And I think that's one of the things that are lost. And everybody goes, "Well, where did you find that?" I'd like sources to look it up. And it was like, it's called my real life, asshole. Um, so I don't have a .com where you can go and see conversations that I had circa 1987.
I was going to say, yeah, there's no link to 1986. What happened at a place?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
didn't have cameras and shit then.
Your link to 86 is me, and I'm telling you what was said and what was thought. When you get it from somebody else, because and it's really weird, dude, getting older and looking at the young content creators talking about well what it was like way back in the 90s when they didn't know better. And I'm like, listen, Junior, shut the f up. What you're doing through right now, you're going to change your mind about in 20 years too, because things change. Oh, well, this is the way they held guns back then, but that was the old days. Things change. Gunfighting changed. Study of human performance changes. We've gone from, peeping down the sight with one eye closed to keeping both eyes open. We've changed stance. We've changed how we handle recoil management. We changed our expectations about what quality was when it comes to a firearm. We even changed our idea of what accuracy is acceptable in a firearm. because 4 inches at 100 yards was good enough for the military. Now, if you told somebody you shot a 4 inch group at 100 yards with this rifle that the military is going to accept, they'd be like, oh, why don't you just give them a shotgun? We should be shooting 1 inch groups. Meanwhile, you can't shoot a 1 inch group if I laid you down on the ground and and gave you the most expensive rifle and optic there is. Most people can't do it because they don't have the skill set. Things change. We grow as a people, we grow as the industry, and we change what we teach people. I mean, I still remember the first time I looked at the NRA booklet that I was to teach out of eventually. I'm like, seriously, the best we have is a dude that's dressed like Andy Griffin with a handlebar mustache. Those are the pictures we're using and introducing people to. It looks like it's from the 60s or even 40s, even the stances they're using. All of
And
that has
even then, it would
changed.
have almost been like stylish or like, you know, like unique. It wouldn't have been like mainstream, just some guy. It was like some weird guy, like even then.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's always funny. I love when 30-year-olds tell me how to carry. Yeah, well, the 30-year-olds are just learning stuff. And sometimes I look at them, I'm all like, man, you are so full of, you're right. And I've been around long enough and I've been the I know I'm right dude until I got more experience and went, wow, I didn't know what I was talking about. But you don't know what you're talking about with
man,
10,000 views. So it gives you this false sense of like, like knowledge. And it's like, no, dude, you're actually wrong.
who was just talking about that? It was a comment somewhere. It wasn't my comment. I think I was just seeing, watching a post or something, and somebody was commenting that why don't the kids understand or something? And it's just time on the clock. Like you can't know the wild ride it's going to be when you've been around for 50 times for watching the, what is it, 50 rotations of the sun or whatever it is.
Yep.
Like once you're 50, like you can sit around thinking like there was like 20 years that I thought XYZ and I thought that was 100%, and everybody did. It wasn't like I was like standing there like I figured it out. There's things I figure like I figured it out or whatever. But yeah, like Woods is saying, like you figure out like, oh, I've been doing something for 40 years. And then you, after 40, well, I haven't done anything for 40 years, I guess, except breathe. But let's say I've definitely done some stuff for 30 years.
Hmm.
And then after 30 years, you go, you know what? I'm going to do it differently. Or maybe I had to do it differently. You broke a leg or something. You did it differently. And you're like, oh, crap, there's 6 different ways you can do this. And I never even paid attention. And you can't know, like, you can't even realize the mind. Am I allowed to say mind fuck on my own show? Like it is when you do something for 30 years and you figure out there's a better way to do it. uh, that's an open mindedness that no, all you can do is tell people about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to experience that. Did Tony get up out? What did I do? How
No,
come
I'm
I'm not?
here.
I don't know what I did. Sorry. I don't know why I'm there. Oh, I'm trying to remove my, this maybe? I don't know how to work this. Um, but anyway, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that without time, you just can't realize the scale of it. And then because you're whatever age you are. Like right now, I think I'm right about everything. Like I don't care what my parents think, just because they're 20 years older than me or whatever they are. Like you know what I mean? Like just because they've been around for another 20 years, I've been around for 50. Like I know everything. So we all have that because we think we know everything. So now I don't have kids, so I'm just minding my business, watching other people raise their kids. So there's that, right? Like like you as a parent, you must understand that you got to give people time to learn their shit. But you know what I mean? Like not everybody's out there being in parent mind or understanding that, and that's where it can get frustrating uh, with kids, I guess, telling you the best way to do something. Now, on the other hand, you got to listen to kids that I don't know grew up with a completely different way of thinking than we do because of that. And they may have some really interesting ways of doing stuff that we just can't even fathom because we're just not thinking at that angle or that position or whatever, that that level.
Well, they have a different starting point. So if
Right.
you have a different starting point, you don't have preconceived notions about what's right and wrong based on the fact that you've been doing it or you've been seeing it for 4 decades. Now, it's funny to me watching all of these people discover somehow that there's guns that are hammer fired. Huh? these are single action. They have a really great trigger. Yeah, I know. 10 years ago, you were telling me the 1911 is obsolete. Now you're spending well over $2,000 on one that fires 9 millimeter bullets, and you're acting like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest." And I'm like,
And
"Yeah,
you
shut up."
and I'll add, you probably that person probably wouldn't remember the name of the YouTube channel that told them to think that way. But at the time,
Yep.
they agreed with everything that channel told them. But yeah, like 6 or 8 iterations of YouTube channel dedication
Mm-hmm.
later, I don't remember who I used to appreciate, and I do this for a living. I'm sure people that are just casually watching this as a hobby, oh, that's made a good point. I agree with this guy on the YouTube video, and now you just go
Mm-hmm.
on your merry way for the next 8 months, 8 years with that impression.
Oh, I'll go ahead and throw this one out there because it's hilarious. Nothing fancy in his size, weight, and whatever capacity thing, talking about how obsolete the 1911s are because of the size weight constraints. That's what he used to call it. Well, I am cruising through. I stopped watching him a while ago because he kind of got kidnapped by their algorithm. Like they started messing with it, and I wouldn't be able to see his stuff. And then he decided to start showing watches and model planes and stuff while he's doing his gun reviews, and it just became too schizophrenic for me, so I bailed. But I'm looking at his stuff, and then all of a sudden he's talking about how good the TSOS 1911 is, and I'm like, bro, you spent a significant amount of time talking about for how much that thing weighs and how much they cost, that they're obsolete, and now all of a sudden this is probably the best 1911 you can buy, and I'm like, yeah, 1911 was never obsolete. Um, it was built 100. It was the first in line of these type of guns. Everything about it was new, from the tilting barrel system to how you ejected the magazine. Like all of it was new. It's first generation semi-automatic firearm, and it's still relevant. And it's still as a model, 1911. It's one of the top sellers today. 100 and what? 115 years later. So yeah, but this whole new generation is discovering that. I'm listening to them talk about USPs and Beretta 92s, and like, yeah, I don't know how those guys had theirs two different trigger pulls because that's difficult to master. No, it's
Yeah.
not.
And they're not realizing that it wasn't like everything they see, and the same thing for us. Like I think of like World War
Yes.
II or something. Like everything I know about World War II, everyone alive during World War II just woke up and was presented that shit when they were born, and they just lived their life. But in reality, that all came in layers and waves, and most of them lived their lives churning milk with a fucking stick or whatever, and then finally got a refrigerator like 5 minutes before World War II. We look back and
Hmm.
go, those people had refrigerators. You know what I mean? Like we don't know shit.
Yeah.
So that these kids, they don't know that either. That like we all sat around reading magazines because that was our internet of like,
Yep.
oh, a double action, single action trigger. Oh, I wonder what
Hmm.
that feels like, or something like, oh, I know what that is in my mind, or whatever. And then how many years later before you actually ever have a chance to, oh, this is a double action, single action trigger? Let me pull it. Like nowadays, you just go to the range. And I was going to ask you another question. It's sort of the same thing, but you can go to the range and just decide, oh, I want to try a striker fire. Like, oh, I want to try a
Hmm.
single action. Oh, I want to try blah, 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 blah. And there's probably, if you go to the right range, they're going to have it, right? And now you can try it. And for $7, you tried it. You didn't have to spend 700 or whatever. Um, but I was going to ask, we kind of been talking about the kids these days. In 20, and I think I might have talked about this because we've talked a long time for many shows, but I'm going to ask you again in the middle of 2025, and maybe I don't think I've ever asked you this specific way. What's the value on like a scale of 1 to 10? What's the value of a new gun owner of any age and any experience level, but maybe a gun owner in 2025 who has not yet experienced it, to go to a range where there is a good variety of rental guns and a nice policy where they can like rent and just keep swapping out the gun or something so it doesn't cost them an arm and a leg? It'll cost them something on ammo, of course, but
Hmm.
um, basically go into a nice rental shop and just experience as many as you possibly can. Just not even like what you
Okay.
might want to buy or like what you think might when the shit hits the fan, but like literally just try them all, just so that because you can, because one, because you can, and two, because now you literally do and you can appreciate what you got and you do know the differences between them. Just because again
See
you
the
can, like that is something you can do at pretty much most big city.
We are at such a point right now that it is amazing. Um, hold on. Uh, all right, F it. I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I'm not trying to promote diversity shoot and what
Oh
we
no,
do.
do it. Please do. That's what this show's
Okay,
all about.
fine. All right, we're to the point now with entertainment being what it is, with John Wick being out. John Wick raised the bar on firearms in movies, right? Just like Keanu Reeves, we can put it on him because he did it with Matrix. He did
Dude,
it
I
again
would
with John
say
Wick to another level.
almost as much as Dirty Harry and Do You Feel
Yeah,
Lucky, right?
yeah. I mean, yeah. Daddy Harry and Do You Feel Lucky today, and Keanu Reeves and firearms in general, just in movies raised not only how entertainment is done, but how people look at it. Now people know some of the names of the guns. They know John Wick's guns because they look cool in the movies. They know the guns from Heat because depends on how old they are. They came in watching John Wick. And then when they found old dudes like us on the internet talking about, you think that was a good gun movie, you should see Way of the Gun from, back in the day. You should see Heat from back in the day. These were shootouts. So now they know the name of guns. If you own a rental gun range, you should be pushing and inviting, I don't know, Tony to host diversity shoots there to get people in the door from all ages and backgrounds to pull triggers on guns the movies and video games have made famous already. Before that, getting people into the range to shoot a gun, it was kind of different because all the guns were almost all the same. You had Glocks, you had Berettas, like Bruce Willis in the 90s made the Beretta 92 famous, but that was pretty much the gun. Maybe the AUG, but most people didn't have that, even in rental gun ranges. Uh, but now, because there's so many of them, because you can play so many different skins in so many different types of video games, from Escape from Tarkov to whatever the latest one is, even if they change the name of it, these guys look at it, and I'm talking kids 10 and up can name guns like you and I used to be able to do. But it's a plethora of guns, and it's many, many, many kids, and girls play these things too. So you have an opportunity. I mean, it's almost like an easy button if you own a range after you jump through all those hoops to get an event like mine to be host regularly at your range. You can do theme nights, movie nights. You can do the Guns of John Wick as a rental package and have people come in and drop a gang of money on it, but they get to shoot the five guns that you want to pull from John Wick and make you an ass ton of money. And if you're not doing that, you're just leaving money on the table.
I think that's a great thing to mention because I'll just add that if you and I've gone to the places in Vegas, the rental places in Vegas that attract like an
Hmm.
international audience, right? And their range part is embarrassingly small. Like Machine Gun Vegas, you've been there?
No, I've never been.
Okay, so that's
I
the
mean, I
one that
watched
has a lot of
videos on it, but I've never been. Yeah.
videos. Yeah, you can really get the impression from the videos, but because the building is kind of big, but the range is it might be 10 lanes or it's probably 8 lanes or something. It's more than six, but it's not a lot of lanes. In other words, you know how many people can be standing there, but the distance, I'd be surprised if it's 25 feet. It's
Hmm.
essentially just a room with lanes that they can stand people on and have, and it's fine. It's like super safe. Like it's plenty of room and there's lockers and stuff. It's well thought out. But as far as like shooting for accuracy or like any kind of competition, like it's almost like you're shooting into a what do they call that, a disarming bucket. What do they call that when you
Yeah, 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 yeah.
what do
Yeah,
they
I
call
don't
those
know what to
buckets?
call it, bucket.
But
Yeah.
it's essentially just shooting at a wall, and it's fine for people who just want to pull the trigger literally. But all I'm getting at
Hmm.
is the fanciest places putting the most money in, having the hugest pile of guns, using them constantly, and having a steady flow of people walking in with smiles and leaving with smiles and happily coming back because it's people love it. All I'm getting at is you don't need a massive range. Like, don't think that the range needs to be elaborate. You literally people are happy to just shoot at a piece of paper. You don't need
Hmm.
like any kind of bells and whistles or any clearing bucket. Thank you, Foss. I
Thank
think
you.
I was talking about. Um, But that's really what you're doing is you're just, and you've seen like they're even bolted down, like when they shoot the big stuff, like the minigun or something,
Yep.
like it's not even like they have a choice. They're only pulling the trigger. But in some of the M60s and stuff, like they have chains and stuff on them. But anyway, so I'm just definitely gonna uh, agree with you and add that to the, don't feel like your range is too small. Like you said, people want to feel the pull of the trigger and the sights, and they want to say they've done it and get a selfie or something
And
and
that's it.
bring their friends and yeah, have the experience. They don't care about if your range is new or modern or big as the other guys. I think that's a great idea. And you could do that for the obscure movies, or let people bring in, like, let people do like a movie pass, right? Where they bring in, or they rent, two pistols, a shotgun, and a rifle. And it's the choices based on whatever movie they brought in. Or, do something like like that, where you just have like a huge
It's
list, like you said, just like
so,
most movies, if you go to that IFMDB, like have 8 or 10 guns in them. So you could almost just pick movies you and your staff like, and then just pick guns that
exactly.
you own.
Yep. We did it. Okay, many people don't know or haven't listened to me long enough to know when I did my Minuteman Challenge. Sean and I formed the Minuteman Challenge, which was events where we tell you the week of what gun to bring or what type of gun to bring. And we at the range and we had our target set up and we had different drills you shoot on the clock, and that was the competition. The whole point of it was getting your gun out of the closet, whether it's your Ruger 1022, whether it's your Papoose, from Marlin, whether it's your lever action. We wanted you to come out and shoot your gun competitively with cool people and meet others. Then we'd have our challenge, the end of the year challenge, where all the winners would go against each other head to head. And we would name them different things. So I still remember the one we had. We had Navy SEALs, US, I think we call it US Navy SEALs, and you'd have to shoot a Mark 23 and an MP5 clone. Well, actually, it was an MP5. And that would be the drill that you would go head to head with the others, and the top two finish. The top ones go to the next one and go to the next one until we had a face off between the last two guys that were shooting the best. And I just named them after movies or quotes from movies. Was it? I'm a rice farmer, mother effer. Remember that line from Tropical Thunder with Robert Downey Jr.? So we did that. We called it Rice Farmer MFer. And that was one of the stages where you went head to head with someone, and the two guns you shot were AK-47 and an M16, or really an AKM or civilian AK and an AR-15 that was set up like a Vietnam era AR. But dudes loved it. Like they just were like, man, I hope I don't get knocked out. And we didn't tell them what the next one was. We kept it like quiet. So you'd go in and we'd start with, I don't know, like 8 guys. And they'd be like, yo, dude, the Vietnam thing was awesome. And then the next thing was the Navy SEAL thing. And the next thing was this. And then we just figured finished it out with the Warlord. It's like, what's the Warlord? We're shooting a gold Desert Eagle at 50 yards, 5 rounds, 50 yards, top score wins. And they loved it, went nuts over it. And I'm like, it's that easy to get people in the range, dude. You just have to put word out. And one of the way to get words out, again, we're going to work on it. After we become a charitable organization, I'm going to work on how to figure it out to get to travel around the country and actually set up diversity shoots in other states and let other people run it. Because we need to get in ranges. We need to get people who already own firearms to become politically active. We can't just wait until they decide they want to get in on the fight. We have to explain the fight to them and explain that today is the day you need to get into it. Advocacy is like planting a freaking tree, bro. The best time to plant a tree is today. It was the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. You should have gotten into advocacy the minute you turned 18. Matter of fact, you should have gotten into it when you were 12, and started believing in something and having something to fight for. So you didn't do it then, you can do it now. That's why I welcome 10-year-olds in the class. I'm not trying to turn them into an advocate then, but I'm getting in their ear at the same time the school system and the mainstream media is telling them all guns are evil and gun owners are racist and hate you. Meanwhile, I got these kids from every background available who are in here having fun with as the 11-year-old told us Thursday. All you guys are old, but she loves coming to events and gets mad whenever she's not able to make one of them. So the kids love to be around that if you host it and hold it in a positive way and not trash them and not talk down to them. This little girl loves coming to our events, and we almost adopted her as a granddaughter or daughter for everybody there. And she's the safest place a 10-year-old girl can be or 11-year-old girl can be in New Jersey when she's at a diversity shoot. So oh, so I was at We Shoot. We just hosted diversity shoot Thursday. I don't know if I talked about it, but we just hosted it Thursday. And before the event, I was asked to come down and film content because I always have, ideas, and they have a great crew. They have a plethora of guns because We Shoot is a pretty decent sized gun store with a lot of a variation of guns. And I actually brought it up a couple of them. We did some 1911s. So I had the TSOS 1911 Raider, which is about a $700 gun, but it's all steel. There are no mem parts on it, and it has a great reputation from everything I've seen from everyone who's handled it. And the few problems it does have, you can fix quickly. And when people go, "Well, I shouldn't have to fix a 1911 that I just bought," I'm like, "Bro, if you get a custom or semi-custom 1911, they're going to tell you have to have a 200 round break-in period, and there's certain freaking rounds they won't be able to fire." So there's always something again with the 1911 because it's a 115-year-old design. There may be a little tweak here and a little tweak there. And the only thing I heard about these T-saws is you might have to swap out recoil spring for an actual 16-pound recoil spring, which they say it has, but it supposedly doesn't. And maybe the thumb safety spring isn't strong enough, according to some people. But that's what I heard. But I had fun there. I had the T sauce. I had a Rock Island to show the lower cost, 1911s, and then I had a Springfield Armory TRP and a Kimber Rapide Dawn, and those were the two higher end guns. And I went on a little maybe 2 or 3 minute thing, pointing out the features, pointing out what makes it higher end, and done with it. I'm not going to critique it and talk about how, Kimber had a really good reputation until some dude who actually ran Sig's reputation into the ground ran Kimber's reputation into the ground. So I talked about that. I didn't talk about that, but I just talked about the fact that it has great trigger, great sights, this, that, the other thing, and that if they want to see it, come down to We Shoot. Then I broke out another gun and another gun. So I did videos on 1911s, and I also did video on Beretta 92s and Beretta 92 clones. So we had a Taurus there, and with their frame mounted safety, and we had a Gerson, and it had the slide mounted safety decocker, and then I had a Beretta 92 XI with again a frame mounted safety, and I had all three of them up and went through those. I didn't go through the cost level, but I was like, yes, they are different levels. But I think the 92, and that's what I said about even the 1911s. TSOS, not so much the Rock Island, but TSOS, um, sub $1,000. Excuse me, no, yeah, sub $1,000. There are very few 1911s that work well, but they are really good placeholders. If you want a 1911, the TSOS, excuse me, 1911 A1. You want one of those World War II, two World Wars, clones or whatever. TSOS is a good start. Any of these companies that make a 1911 is a good start for a placeholder, so you're not spending big money for one that just says Colt on the side. Same thing with a Beretta 92. Beretta 92, I think MSRP is around $700, but a Taurus PT 92, I think is like $500. and a Gerson is even less than that. So if you just want a Beretta 92 placeholder, you don't have to have the actual gun. These are good new guns you can pick up, or you can pick up a used version of any of those guns. But I just think it's the newer new guns from manufacturers that don't cost an arm and a leg, but still make a quality product, and you can still use most of the accessories from magazines to holsters, and they'll still work. 92 question. You want me to answer this question about the Beretta 92? Oh, I think I just did in conversation. I think it's about a $300 price difference. Depends on where you find it
Trying to
between
get
the
it to show
actual.
up on the screen. Here we go.
Uh, yeah, the difference between the price difference between a Taurus PT 92 and a Beretta 92 is $200 to $300. Depends on what store. And again, this is talking about new. And then the Taurus has again a frame mounted thumb safety, almost like a 1911, or in that location. And the Beretta has one that's located on the slide. So it depends on why you want to get it. So I was dry firing all three. No, that's not really fire. That's dry fire. And of course, the Beretta 92 XI, the ones that's designed for competition with high sights and all that stuff, had a much better trigger, but it has a price tag well over $1,000. Like 15, $1,600. But again, this is top of the line, competition oriented Beretta 92. I think a Beretta is still under 1,000 for just a regular 92, and there's nothing wrong with that if you want to get that. And then you have places like Langdon that can actually get your Beretta 92 zhuzhed up with a smoother trigger, even smoother double action trigger, for like $300-400. Or you can buy just the trigger job in the bag, is what they call it, and install it yourself. I've been on a Beretta 92 kick and a 1911 kick and a USP kick for about 3 weeks now. I fade in and out of those only because I like looking at them. I go to a range often that has gun shops in it, so I get to dry fire them. I get to tactically fondle them, and then my guys bring them in. Like I have guys that have different things. They have 92s, they have Berettas, they have Taurus, they have Springfield Armory. So I do get to float in and out every now and again and put a couple mags through some stuff. I really need to hook us all up and just get a range day from my instructors so we can just come in and trade off and shoot each other's firearms because really we're busy at diversity shoots. Maybe every now and again, if we're not too busy or if everybody went through already, our guys get to swap up and like shoot neat stuff, but we don't get long. You know, we show up, or my guys show up, they try to get there about 6 o'clock. I go through my thing, we do the raffles, we do all of that, and then my guys head to the range. So any conversation they have is while they're setting up in the range and I'm vamping uh in this classroom. So if they don't get to talk to each other and see what they lay out, they don't know what's there. But it is a lot of fun when we had a B&T sub gun there last night. One of the employees at Reshoot had a brand new Smith& and Wesson carry comp, M&P 2.0 carry comp, and he was allowing everybody to shoot his gun. So I think we put like 200 rounds through it between everybody, and people really enjoyed it. And it's a very affordable, polymer striker fire gun with a comp. And he said so far, because he's allowing people just to shoot it at the range, it's not his carry gun or anything. He said they've sold 8 of them so far because people have shot his and want one. And that's something we bring to the table also as a diversity shoot. The guns that people try there are the guns sometimes they buy because they enjoy shooting them. And my guys have everything under the sun, but they have what they can afford. And also, I can't, go, hey, make sure you bring your staccato. It's like, no, man, I'm not letting people continually shoot my staccato because round count really does add up. And these
So
guys are using their guns. Go ahead. Hmm.
my thing I'm going to always bring up Well, when you're talking about the specific thing, the Taurus and the Beretta is resale. So your Beretta, I think, is going to hold more resale over time,
Oh,
just period.
100%.
And then
100%.
it's worth considering because you're only paying a couple $100 more, like you said, and over
Hmm.
time, that it's an investment, so it's a little bit worth it, especially if you're not going to shoot it. If you're going to shoot the shit out of it, less of a big difference. And then
Hmm.
the other one is what's the deal? I forget now, but is the Taurus the one that has the safety on? No, the Beretta has the safety on the freaking
Slide.
slide, and
Yep.
the Taurus has it on the frame. And for
Yep.
that reason, that's why there's other reasons I'll get to in a second, but that's one of the reasons I am happy to throw up my hands and never even consider a Taurus 92 or a Beretta 92. I don't like the gun, and that's one of the reasons. Is I like the Beretta better for whatever reason. I'm half Italian or something, so like I like the Beretta, but uh, the Taurus is realistic. I can't handle the safety on the safety selector on the slide. That is like first gen semi-automatic shit. And I like 1911s and stuff because there are first gen, semi-autos. But I don't have to like every first gen thing that's out there, and I can't handle that. I just hate the idea that it's reciprocating. I don't care if there's no evidence to back it up. It just makes no sense to me. It's like just having extra parts in a gun that don't need to be there. I want the safety to be on the frame. So that's the reason I'll never buy either one of these. But the real reason is because watch any movie that's out there. There's already documentaries made where all a bad guy has to do, and he doesn't have to be a ninja, but it's definitely going to happen with a ninja, is they're going to come up and use their thumb to push that little stupid disconnector, like takedown button off. Who
Hmm.
makes a gun with a takedown button? So you push a button and the gun comes apart. Every bad guy already knows this. So if anybody wants to take your gun from you, they don't need to. All you gotta do is take the top half of your gun from you. And anybody who knows this can do that with a Beretta, with a Taurus, or with the Desert Eagle. There's like a button on it that you can just go up and grab the slide, push the button, and take it. I don't care if anybody says that's movie bullshit. There's no way I want to carry a gun that somebody can come up and grab the gun, push their thumb in on it. What if it even happens accidentally? Like, there's no way. I don't know who allowed that gun to get past whatever quality control, but nope. So sorry for everybody that owns one, but ninjas, you're susceptible to ninjas. And if you watch Paris with Love, John Travolta eloquently grabs it, like I just said, and then also jabs the guy in the neck with it. So now you've just given them not just your slide, but a weapon to use against you. So I rest my case. Can't do that with 1911.
Yeah, it's one of those things. When you see those documentaries, you need to know about them.
Seriously. And the kids, they probably, like you said, with heat and stuff, like they don't probably know about things like that.
Yeah,
But
definitely. They
I
need to be
seriously
warned.
made videos about it. Like everybody was giving me shit back at the gun shop back in the day because I don't know where I first seen it. I think I just figured it out by fiddling with them enough because I'm one of those people
Hmm.
that fiddle with guns. And with the Beretta and the Taurus, I'll give them this. You have to kind of push in and then move that thing. So you kind of got to know what you're doing. I think with the Desert Eagle, all you got to do is push in the button. But again, like as soon as you know what to do with your thumb and you're comfortable with it, then basically we made a couple of videos where somebody's holding it and I just came up and took the slide off. And I'm like, I'm not no ninja, but I can take the slide off of that gun. Anyway, and is there any other guns that you can do that with? There could easily be new guns that you could do that with, and I just don't know. But those are the ones that I grew up with that you could do that with.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. No,
I
did
should
you
do a
say you can
poll
pull that
on
down?
if people think it's an issue or not, like how concerned they are of some adversary taking this top off of their gun or not. I mean, obviously, people with Berettas are living fancy free, thinking that's not a thing. But I'm wondering if other
Well,
people.
That's the difference between people that actually have gun knowledge and people that don't. They don't know you can take their firearm apart. The threat of ninja.
Or the gunsmith, you know, somebody like Zeke, knowledgeable in the art of gunsmithery.
I mean, they even made up. I mean, they had a song to warn you about it by Vanilla Ice. Go ninja, go ninja, go ninja, go.
All right, I definitely probably am missing something. We're only not even 2 hours in, but at some point we should probably end it sooner than the 4 hours because otherwise all our shows are 4 hours. But there's a ton. There's so many people watching or listening, I guess now. Actually, they're watching. You say watching because they're on YouTube watching little circles happen. It's not like there's anything happening on the screen, FYI. But there are people on X. I just assume they're only listening because they never comment. And maybe it's just a culture thing. I don't know what it's like on X because I only broadcast to X. Have you ever done any of the threads or listened to whatever you call it, like watch the threads on X? Wait,
I've
I think they're
actually
called
listened.
threads.
I actually was on one of the shows. Someone invited me on, so I
What'd you
actually
think of
listened
it?
to it.
Is it called threads or am I mixing it up with Facebook's thing?
Yeah, I think you're missing it up with the threads. But
They call it
yeah,
something though, whatever they call
yeah,
live, and
radio
it's more like
show.
an audio thing.
Yeah, so I've done that, and it's interesting. I mean, but you have to raise your hand and almost tag in, then they have to pick you to allow you to speak. So it doesn't really flow. You have to wait for somebody else. Like if I'm speaking right now, somebody out there hits a button, that waves their hand and says, "Oh," and say they want to speak, and then the host allows them in to say their say, and then when they're done, all right, you're done talking about this, and you check out.
I've joined a
So,
couple. That guy, what can't I think of his name? Dexter Taylor, right, in New York, who's in jail. He was on one of those that Toby Leary told me about, and then I went and watched
hmm
it because I didn't know that I'd never heard Dexter live or anything before. Like I only heard of Dexter's story before, right? So Toby was like, "Hey, after this, he was doing his show on Wednesday. I think whenever it was, 2 weeks ago, maybe." He was doing his show on Wednesday, whatever week it was, and then said, "After this, I'm going over. What are they called? I can't remember what they're called on X. Whatever the live thing is called on X." He said, "I'm
hmm
going over to one of those, hosted by somebody who I never heard of, and she's going to be interviewing Dexter Taylor." So I was like, "Heck yeah, I'm definitely in." Right. So once I figured out, I think I'd maybe been to one or two before. Like Clover tried doing them to see how they work or
hmm
whatever. So I knew what they were, but I didn't really, I don't go on X to listen to them or anything. So basically, once you're on X, at least on the computer, over on the right, a little thing lights up and tells you when somebody that you're following is doing one of those things. And so I noticed that they happen every once in a while. And often, especially if it's people I know, it's like one or two people following or listening or whatever that's called. But this thing that I was in was more like hundreds of people, or I think it might have even been up to 1,000 people, and it was pretty neat. And it's like you say, like it's structured a little differently, which I guess is makes sense if there's going to be a lot of people in there. But
hmm
and I think nowadays, like I'm used to talking over people and having people interrupt because I'm a regular human, and that's how humans talk. At least how
hmm
I grew up. Like that's how But maybe with the way that kids are in school, like obviously it's different now. Maybe they're yelled at if they interrupt each other, and they always want to listen to each other. Like I just get sick of listening to somebody, even friends, if they're telling you something you already know. Like you're like, hey, stop! You don't need to tell me this because we both know it. Let me put the other point in and let's keep going. I don't think of it as rude as much as like polite to let somebody know, hey, we don't need to, you know what I mean? Like I don't think it's always inconsiderate to interrupt. In other words, when it's a bunch of friends having a conversation, or at least people that are constantly having conversations with each other. So I know though that after watching or listening to comments or whatever you want to say, like reading comments, there's people that can't stand it when we interrupt each other or talk over each other. We're not doing it because we're not yelling at each other, but when I'm in chats where people have disagreements or we're fighting with each other or just whatever, misunderstanding each other often, we chat over each other and yell at each other and shit, and people can't handle that. So I guess there's probably that element, maybe even built into X, where or whatever it was. I don't know if that was something new that he made or if it was on Twitter or not. But the people that are on Twitter, first off, they like the idea of being concise because the whole thing was that you could only use 250 characters or something in the beginning. So right away, only certain people that want to read concise posts would even go to Twitter. And then when they all got there, they figured out that they couldn't get enough politics. So they all went after each other with politics, right? And then Elon bought it and everybody booked shit. Everybody went, what is it, polarized into what is it, into political parties. right? All the Democrats left, in other words, or the ones that left were the ones that didn't want to hear the bickering. The ones that thrive on the bickering stayed, right? And then
Hmm.
the conservatives just dug in and made they're just loving it over there. So it's definitely different than when it was. So I don't know when that like concept or when this live stuff started happening, but I've just noticed it kind of recently. Anyway, I was curious to hear if anybody else is interested in that because I don't know if it's easier, but it's basically what we're doing here. We don't. I use the screen every once in a while to show something, but I'm not trying to make y'all remember my face or Tony. You know who Tony is, so we're not trying to make this a visual show where you just have to watch us talk at each other. So I think that's a lot of ways what they're doing over there. Just the audience, and I shouldn't say that. Like the audience is kind of the same. Like we usually have a ton of people from X listening to the show anyway. I think we're
Yeah.
technically
So
in one of those on X right now. Or no, we're broadcasting on X. It is different. It is different.
yep, it's different. I posted it up before we got on, an hour before we got on. Hey, Valentina's out there, naturally armed. She runs women's get together, or excuse me, is aimed at getting women to come out to the range and do pretty much kind of sort of what I do, but she handles it differently. It has her own personality, her own take on it. And usually she makes the initial meeting at a place that's not a gun range to get a lot of things out of the way so they don't have that they're not anxious and have the anxiety of being on the range and hearing the gunfire in the background, even from the classroom. You know what I mean? And having people surround them by firearms and just being in a range environment. I like the way she does what she does, and I try to promote her doing what she does. She works with gun for hire range too, and she's working her way around the state because people are like, "Well, she's doing what you're doing," and I'm like, she's doing what she's doing. I'm doing what I'm doing. And you need not only me and her, but others to do this around the country, which is getting other people in and finding other ways to make people feel welcome. At, so I'm going to segue this into something. Uh, so that's probably what my speech is going to be about at Goals, which is next week on the 9th and 10th of August down in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is it's going to be GOA's convention. It's the second one. I'm speaking there, and I think I need to talk, in my opinion, to gun owners and to people that are activists and advocates to start welcoming people that don't look like them outside their circle into the gun ranges, but also to get people that do look like them that already own firearms to come to the gun range and shoot something besides the gun they have in the closet that they haven't pulled out. My granddaddy told me to shoot, but you got that shotgun in the closet for the last 45 years. You've never taken it out. You've never participated in the shooting sport. You've never shot clays with anybody. It's just a thing, and you kind of sort of don't participate in your ability to legally keep the thing. So come on out. Let's do a clay shoot. We got a whole bunch of people together. You bring your granddad's old 12 gauge scatter gun out. We're gonna have everybody with their guns out, and we're gonna have a couple guys from a couple different, organizations out there, and we'll just talk about legislation or how important it is to fight, or maybe a sister come. Yeah, Tony Simon runs this awesome thing called the Second is for Everyone diversity shoots. Are we going to donate some stuff to him, or we're going to send them, I don't know, freaking coffee that he can raffle off at his events? It makes no difference what you send me as long as I can have a raffle at. But we need to get more active. We need to get more into recruiting people into activism. And it doesn't just have to be new people. It doesn't have to be people that don't look like you. Get people that look like you to actually join Second Amendment organizations and participate. Because that's one of the bad things we found out about Georgia. There's millions of gun owners in this country and hunters in this country not even registered to vote. We need to wake them up. We need to get everyone politically active. I don't need you to change your position on anything except tell your politician that he needs to get his fingers off of gun control. You can have your positions on any of the other divisive things we're talking about, but you need to live the civil rights of people alone, which includes the ability to defend themselves from the government and from criminals. Now, they've created in some of these cities and many of these places an attitude and a mentality of the government's going to take care of you. The government will keep you safe. And I'm looking at three distinctly different places in a 7 day period to see how people handle others terrorizing them. In Anchorage, Alaska, my man popped his trunk, pulled out an AR, and handled his business and stopped an active shooter. No one was killed. In Michigan, a brother reached in his pocket, pulled out his pistol, and handled business in a mass stabbing. No one was killed. Everybody went home. Excuse me. The first one, Anchorage, the shooter was killed. Michigan, no one was killed.
Well,
New
nobody
York
was
City,
killed by the guy stopping him. The stabber was
yes.
stabbing
No,
people.
yeah, no one was killed in the whole stabbing incident at all. In New York City, four people were killed, including the shooter. I think they count the shooter as the fourth person, which does not make it a mass shooting. But you had a city full of people that were hiding because it's over $1,000 to get your carry permit in New York. You can only get it done down at one police plaza, by the way, regardless of where you live. If you live in Maryland, you have to drive to one police plaza in New York City to get your paperwork done. So again, over $1,000, and you have to go in the city. And again, since the Sullivan Act, New York, which happened in the early 1900s, like 1910,
1911.
they've been 1911. Thank you.
It's easy to remember
They've been,
because 1911.
yeah. Well, now I remember it. I was close. Um, but my whole thing is they've been promoting this mentality of somebody else is going to take care of you. It's not your job to take care of yourself. And you saw a distinct difference. I can almost say depends on the freaking city. That might not have happened. That might not have happened in Michigan. That might not have happened in Anchorage. Hell, with 70,000 concealed carry holders in New Jersey, that shooting that happened in New York City might not have happened in Jersey. Now, since the Bruin decision, the attitude is changing. We've gone from 1,500 less than 1,500 concealed carry holders in New Jersey to over 70,000 concealed holders in New Jersey in less than 3 years. That's amazing, especially with all the financial.
I was going to say, how much revenue did that give to the state, and what did they do with it, and what, uh, do you know where it goes? Is it tracked, or is it going to a pool?
So $150 of it goes to the city and town you're in. And right now, Daniel Francesca, anyway, he's the mayor of Englishtown. I also know him. He's also come to our events, and I just saw him 2 weeks ago. And what he did as the mayor of his town was vote to give the money back to the citizens. So when you go and get your carry permit in Englishtown, New Jersey, and you pay all your fees out, including $150 you pay to the town, he will refund you your $150 back. He was like, that amount of money is coming into towns all across New Jersey. Just the 150 going to them is $50 going to the state, 150 going to the town, and then however much the range or whoever charges you for the class, and on top of the other paperwork and crap you got to fill out. And he was like, this is not money we've ever had before, so we shouldn't be able to miss it. We shouldn't count on it. We shouldn't hold people's rights hostage for $150 of gold. You know what I mean? So he was like, nope, give it back. So he started that movement, and other townships have called him and were like, how do you get this started to give this money back? So he actually pretty much started a movement, um,
He
to
Robin
get
Hooded you.
townships to refund that money. Dude, it is awesome. Well, understand, I knew him from before. He started something called Blue Star something. Anyway, he's been in the Second Amendment for a while. We have to go back to about 4 years ago. It was in 2020 or 2021 that I met him, and he was fighting the Second Amendment fight on his own. And then he decided to run for mayor and do it that way. So that is one of the great things about having activists and advocates want to actually participate in the politics of it, because that's how we make changes. Everybody doesn't have to do it, but you wouldn't know about him. And people in Jersey wouldn't know about how he's doing it if you don't come to events, if you don't find out about it. Mainstream media is definitely not going to talk about it. Even in New Jersey, about how this mayor is giving his money back. But you'll find out about it diversity shoots. You'll find out about it when you join Second Amendment advocacy organizations, get their newsletters. That's when you'll find out. You'll find out when you go to the NRA, dinner, Friends of the NRA dinner. Those are ways you find out. And that's why it's really important, I believe, to have us reach out to people that already own firearms because they're not getting this news. They're not finding out this awesomeness. That's why it's important that we get out there and hustle. So people ask me all the time, how do I talk to somebody that's not in my demographic? I live in an all white area or I work in an all white, because that's what it is. And it's really funny to me because people want to play you off as being racist just because you're white. And it's like, I've been told over and over again through emails, phone calls, Tony, how do I get involved? I'd really like to have more minorities involved in the Second Amendment, but I don't know any. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about looking for minorities to get to the range. You get the people you know to the range. You get the people you know to actually join local Second Amendment organizations. We need to turn all people into advocates, and that's not just minorities. So if you don't know any, hey, that's cool. You know what you can do though? I'll take your money because I know them. I know them.
I
I,
was
I
going to
will
say
help get people here.
keep the ranges in business too. Like get people to the range is a great message because range, get go. We're going to talk in a second about you know matches and stuff, but that participate in things that the ranges might be offering, and then be aware of when the range needs something or is updating something or and then hang out at the range, like being there at the range is when you end up keeping the infrastructure or the industry part of it. Buying guns is great, but we don't talk about it very often on the show anymore, or maybe even at all. But big part of my thing is the gun shops. When we ignore the gun shows, they go away, and we stop using gun
Hmm.
shops, they disappear too. There's the alternative to gun shops is big box stores and online, which
Hmm.
is appealing because it's cheap and fast, and it's also unlimited, like anything you might want. As a collector, that's appealing. As a person who's just picky and wants this specific situation of colors and options, and no local shop is going to have those necessarily. You can get it online, but we're susceptible then in that situation to the big box stores deciding to be FFLs, period. Like some of them just drop that when they feel like it, or when they decide to, marketing wise or public opinion wise or whatever they think, perception wise, that's the word I'm looking for. And then some of them just for economic wise, hey, we don't think we're making enough money, so now we're not doing guns. And now if that was our only, if we were hedged on that, only that, we're screwed. So I think that diversity and that, whatever the word is, what's the word for like economic diversity? Like if we need all kinds of gun shops in the middle of nowhere, gun shops in the middle of the city, gun shops for people that are doing all different aspects of shooting, people that are rich, people that are poor. Like we are better off with a lot of gun shops. And there's been, especially now, because there's been a number, at least 4 years worth of the ATF, maybe 3 years realistically, of the ATF really going after the uh, typos and what do they call those, like something errors, but the minor errors and paperwork errors that shops had on 4473s or stuff, transfers and things, and shut down a lot of shops just by the onerous, whatever they call, bureaucracy, right? So keeping the shops that we've got are understanding how valuable the shops that we have are, big deal. I just seen a restaurant shut down the other day, and it made me think, like, you know, you don't think about a place until it's gone. And how do you appreciate in a capitalist place a gun shop? You go buy shit at it, even if it's just buying some ammo. Uh, Buying a gun is great, but they probably only make 10% on the gun. They're probably making 40% or 30% on everything else in there. So
Yep.
buying used shit is amazing because they probably got that shit for next to nothing, and you're buying it for real money. So that goes right into their pocket. But buying ammo, buying optics, all that other stuff, like you don't need another optic. Come on, you know me. I'm not like an optic salesman or nothing, but when we're talking about keeping a local shop in business, sort of capitalists like exercise that muscle. If you're not sending money to Lake Sharon or um, why can't I think of his name? It's because he has two first names. Um, or uh, keep saying Mark Victor, but it's not Mark Victor. The dude in New York that I was just talking about, Dexter Taylor. Yeah.
Yep, Dexter Taylor.
Um, I must be getting tired. I'm tired. But if you're not sending money to Sharon or Dexter, then uh, spend it at a local gun shop. Like, certainly don't waste your money on like Levi jeans or something dumb, something that's anti-gun out there, right? Or some anti-gun store. All right, I'm done ranting. I don't know
All right.
where that rant came from or where it was going. I don't want to cut you off, but I did notice a comment in here that kind of was adjacent to what we were just talking about. And now a bunch of people said stuff. I thought I started. I guess I didn't. From Naturally Armed. Bring back the movie themed range and competition events. I really like that concept. I think cowboy action shooting is the result of the baby boom generation. Grew up on all those black and white cowboy shows and movies. So that was their, I don't know what is today's movies, like that was their action movies, like that was their thing. So and no matter what kind of movie you like, there was so many westerns back then that any aspect of movies that you could like, there was westerns to fill that, to scratch that itch for you. So I think that when time came that shooting guns in general became popular, and so popular that it was like spilling over at the edges, and people were looking for more things to do, and ranges were popping up. And this is like what, the 50s, I guess, when ranges were, and again, the baby boomers, like they got interested in shooting. And if a portion of the giant population gets interested in something, all of a sudden the infrastructure for that starts up. So anyway, my impression is that there was a bunch of ranges out there that were ripe. And then in California, they started dressing up like cowboys and shooting. And somebody saw that in a magazine, I guess, right? Maybe they talked, I don't think the TV was a factor yet, but maybe somehow something caught on. And then that organization started. And then boom, there's like the Western one, there's the Eastern
So,
one, there's the Southeastern one. Like that was everywhere like wildfire. So I think if they did something like with John Wick, same. Oh, why wouldn't that happen? Like, I don't like John Wick that much, but I understand that that's a phenomenon. Like, people would go to a John Wick themed event, I suspect.
so here's the thing, because again, people don't know history. They don't know how things are. They don't know how it happened. It's now I'm a nerd, and things fell in for me because of my nerdism. And one of the things I got into was radio shows. Radio shows have been around for a really long time, but what people they go, oh yeah, back in the day before television, radio shows. Radio shows were around after television started, and radio shows were around pretty much until the late 60s. You could still turn it on. And so that was very popular, but that was popular, and cowboy stuff was popular because it had just ended. The cowboy era, pretty much, if it's crazy, you could have someone from the Wild West era, air quotes, and they listen to radio shows about themselves. That's how crazy it was because that's how close in time frame it was from the 1870s and 1880s to the 1930s is only 50 years. All right, so yes, that was a good form of entertainment because people were using that entertainment in dime store novels that were all the rage. And then you bring about radio and you bring about movies. Well, a movie is a lot more expensive than radios, but we live in New Jersey. I live in New Jersey. Some of the first movies were shot in Jersey, and they were cowboy movies shot here. They only moved to California because Edison had such a lock on the film industry in New Jersey that he was in charge of every aspect of it, and it was cheaper to go out to this place that grew oranges called Los Angeles and shoot movies there. So yeah, the movie industry started here in Jersey. and it was cowboy movies that were a moneymaker, and it was cowboy radio shows that were a moneymaker. And when the dudes came back from World War II and started building what we call the suburbs, they also had extra money to do sports. And one of the things that was all the rage was cowboy stuff. So they went and shot cowboy stuff. And that's where it started up with dudes that are actually World War II and Korean veterans. The baby boomers, they came along and they started doing the stuff too. But SAS was born, Single Action Shooting Society, I think it's called.
That's it.
SAS came along, but other things did too. Now, in range TV, and Carl there has different things with his shooting events. He has one like the Roaring Twenties, CQB brutality, all kinds of different themed shooting events that he himself hosts, and they host in other places. This is growing. It's just you have to break people out of and let them know. A lot of these people that run gun shops and stuff like that, they aren't on YouTube. A lot of them look down their noses at all that stuff, like, "Hey, I'm not involved in that crap. I'm too busy doing real work." Well, there are a lot of ideas out there that you can use and find out ways to grow your range. And I think it's a great idea to do these theme nights. I mean, that's why I brought it up. And that's why we did what we did. And our guys got really excited during the Minuteman Challenge because it was different. And we had themes. We had the lever action nights or days. I think we called it manual. You could bring a lever, you can bring a pump action, you could bring a bolt action. Make no difference what you bring, but you're going to run it and it had to be a manual action. It couldn't be a repeating firearm.
So
And we should go ahead.
you're bringing up like some interesting stuff because so I didn't think about some of the I'm going to call them like alt events that are happening out there. I tried to follow them for a while, but one, there's a lot of them, and two, they always stop and start. They always well, some of them have kept going, but a lot of them are like fits and starts, and it's just so much to keep
Hmm.
up with, like so many fragments. And they do stuff on Facebook, and they're all separate, so they're all doing things sometimes inside of like areas like a forum or something where I just don't know if I can't find the info. But yeah, there's like the Kalashnikon. Wait, Kalash,
Hmm.
and then there's a Kalash Bash, and
Clash
then there's
Bash.
Red October. So there's at least three major that have lasted more than 3 years events that are just focused on Kalashnikovs, like AK-47 platforms, which is awesome for me because I like those. And they're all so one of them's in Texas and one of them's in Utah and one of them's in Vegas and Utah and stuff. So
Hmm.
they're all around here. But that's a good point. And the one in Texas is essentially cosplay, like they're dressing up and
Yep.
being crazy. But that's more like silly, almost like I shouldn't have said cosplay as much as like what's the name of that movie where everybody dresses up, Midnight Horror Festival or something?
Rocky
That
Horror Picture Show.
yeah, it's more like that because they're dressing up weird and they're trying to outdo each other with outrageousness, and they're like Burning Man or something. Like they're just being weird, which is fine. Like that's awesome. The people that want to be like that can go do that and shoot AKs. So I forgot about those kind of things, and those are good points because you making good points about like people that have, and then there's probably like some really cool World War II things that we're not aware of or we're not talking about,
Hmm.
and you know what I mean, where they bring in World War II guns and that. But I guess what I'm thinking when Naturally Armed said bring back the movie themed range and competition event, I was thinking because we were kind of also talking about gun shops and going to the local range and support your local range type of thing, or support your local gun shop. I guess my mind went to maybe something like where you have an indoor range and you set up tables with bowling pins, so like a little bit different. Or usually you're not shooting steels indoor, so
Hmm.
something a little bit different. But even if it's just different targets, like C3PO and other robots or something instead of
R2D2. Yeah.
right? Like so that kind of theme. But I'm thinking you can make it almost like cosplay, where people show up in you get them points for costume, points for movie gun, and then points for like score. So that part of it, it can just be the community or the getting together aspect where, hey, yeah, we all like shooting and we're going to be shooting. But really, if you're into, I don't know, like you made a movie accurate, I don't know, whatever, fill in the blank gun, or you own one that's movie accurate, like you get points for that. But also, if you just want to dress up like Princess Leia or something, then fine, you get points for that, and you just have a 22 that's kind of similar to the one she had in the one movie or something. And then somebody else shows up and is like, hey, I'm not into all that, but I do want to get some shooting in. Then, you know what I mean? Everybody's got a little taste of something. And that way, a range can bring all those types of people together and just different, right? And now, again, if somebody does peek over the shoulder or look in the window, it's like, oh, gun owners are nerds and gun owners are weird and gun owners are
Hmm.
normal like everybody else.
Exactly. And also, again, and I say it again and again because everybody wants to leave this aspect out. Drag the effing locals to a advocacy organization there to pass out flyers, to meet people, and to talk. And give them 5 minutes. All I'm saying is give them 5 minutes. If you can do a safety brief, you
Seriously.
can do a Second Amendment brief. I'm sick and
Seriously.
tired of, oh, these guys
Turn
don't
it
want to
into an event,
half.
a get together. Yeah, like get
Yes,
people to meet each other. Yeah.
you got them
Or like
there.
show up. We're doing a Western theme. You better have at least a cowboy hat on. If not, go to the costume place or a dollar store or whatever and get something and be part of the thing. Show up and next week it's going to be I don't know, the movie Heat or something. So wear some kind of suit or whatever.
Yeah, wear a suit, wear a bag, wear a mask. I don't know, dress like them doing the first freaking takedown in just a onesie mechanic outfit and a hockey mask. You cheap bastard. But my whole thing is you have to
Oh,
participate,
I
and that's
forgot
one of
about
the
that, and that
challenges.
would be such an inexpensive. You can almost DIY it with a piece of cardboard, like off of a cereal box or whatever.
Dude,
But right, like you could.
easy.
That's such a cool DIY costume for Heat. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but my whole thing is everybody's got to want to be there. You can't have hold on. I'm not going to throw anybody under a bus. Let's just say I had advocacy organizations representatives show up at my event and really look down to the core of them like they did not want to be in that room. They didn't want to be there that day. And they didn't last long because I went and complained immediately to the powers that be. I'm like, get this asshole out of my event. I don't spend, half an hour in front of my event hyping people up, having a good time to have this wet blanket show up and just hate life itself. You know what I mean? And bring everything down. Because my whole point is for advocacy and getting people to participate. And then all of a sudden your representative is droopy. And good Lord, I realized something. Just making the droopy reference, only people over 50 got it. Um, I don't need a
No, because
image
he
of
got
snot.
canceled, right? So everybody else just thinks you're being mean about something. Like, oh, that guy, he can't help being droopy.
Nice. Yeah, so eh, the Second Amendment organizations have to act like they want to participate too. I think sometimes I think the worst of some of these organizations, as in they're here for the check, they'll participate in the fight, but they don't really want, and I've said this about the NRA before, they've changed. They don't really want to change anything about themselves. They don't want to change how they run things. They don't mind having other people participate as long as those people are freaking carbon copies of them and their beliefs. And that came through at one of my events, and I pretty much made it known that that's not appreciated, and that person is gone, and that organization hasn't been to my events in a long, long time. I won't put up with that. I'm trying to grow the community, and I don't need obstacles from the community at my events. We already have the fight outside. I don't need to bring it in the house. Oh, dude, sometimes it just sucks though when you realize, man, I know I'm older, but I didn't know I'd be at old this quickly. And knowing who Droopy is, I didn't think would be something like that. But then I realized, yeah, these people, they think an old school cartoon is Captain Planet. Like, no, old school
Ouch.
cartoon, old school cartoons with Tom and Jerry and Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny, Warner Brothers. Um,
Man, I used to hate when Tom and Jerry would
and,
come on,
and
and
Hanna-Barbera. And Hanna-Barbera, let's not forget that one. Most people
well,
didn't.
some of them I
That
didn't
was
mind, but I didn't like Tom and Jerry all that much. And every
what?
once in a while, like when a dog was in it, I liked it. I just didn't like Tom and Jerry. They were just like slapstick, and I did, I'd rather watch. I don't know. So anyway, I didn't like Woody Woodpecker that much. But anyway, what I'm getting at is then you get into that era of like Smurfs, and then you get it got worse
Hmm. Yeah,
with like you
it
said
got
Captain
worse.
Planet and stuff. And then
Oof.
I'm like, you know what they didn't do in the Tom and Jerry is preach at you about nothing. If anything, they were telling you reckless shit. Um, I don't think I don't think anybody ever did anything from Tom and Jerry though. Like seriously, unless a kid
Yeah.
was broken or something, like nobody was going to do anything from Tom and Jerry. But I think you did learn something about humanity, like that is brutal, and like as a little kid, I think you could go like see the bigger picture there. Like, so I don't think it had no value. I just personally
Yeah.
didn't like it until, like I say, after a while, and then I was like, they canceled it or whatever. Like you don't see none of those old shows anymore unless you go look for them. But for a while there, when
Hmm.
it was like cable TV, they got canceled and you couldn't see them anywhere. And then I was like, you know what I miss is the old shit where it was kind of simple, as you didn't have to really watch it. But the problem is that as soon as you start talking old stuff, like if you get into Slowpoke and Speedy, like I'll watch
Hmm.
that all day because those had
Oh
guns in
hell
them.
yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I don't like Tom and Jerry because they barely use guns, and if they do, they're like, even when I was a kid, I didn't like to see guns used like in an exploitive way. I just didn't enjoy it. But then you watch like a show where it's like being funny with guns, and there's Tom and Jerry's where they're funny with guns, but a lot of times
Hmm.
it's just like they're pulling out bigger and bigger mousetraps, and a gun is one of them, and it's like that's not really guns. That's just they had a gun as a prop. But
That's a
anyway,
gag. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Um. So the funny thing, and you were right about those, is they didn't preach to you, but you still learned like not to be a bully. You know what I mean? Uh, you learn not to be a bully. You learn not to mess with somebody just because they were smaller and slower than you are. Those were lessons that didn't have to be preached and beat into your head for you to pick up the messaging. Also, nothing from Acme works. I mean, that's what I picked up. Nothing from Acme works the way you think it will.
Dude,
Um,
somebody drew a bridge or a like a tunnel
yes,
opening on a bridge that's been going
yes,
around
yes.
recently. So like, I guess somebody did screw around and somebody
Well,
got in trouble, or
they drew
somebody
the
got
tunnel, but they have Roadrunner and the Coyote standing beside the entrance. People still turned into it. What tunnel is that? I don't know, but the Roadrunner is pointing to it, so it must be good to go. Ah, who told you to turn here? GPS is like, I didn't tell you to turn. Oh, the Roadrunner did. Ah, golly gee. So yeah, somebody wanted us to talk about goals. I think I got
Well,
that one.
Agarizer was saying, "Will you see anybody at goals?" So, one, if you're going all the way to goals, like then let's talk about it since it is next weekend or next week, depending on when you're going, I
Yes,
guess.
it's next week.
This
Yeah,
coming week.
it's going.
But if you're going, then Tony's going to speak. He'll tell you about that in a second. I don't do personal appearance bullshit like that, so that's not my thing. So I'll be walking around there to some extent, but I'm not like showing up at a booth at 2 p.m. to sign autographs or something, which there are people doing that. Like, I don't care if people do that. It's not my thing. But Tony does. So I'm not talking shit. Like, Tony does do that. And, well, I don't know. You don't go to some booth and hang out to sign
No.
autographs, but you'll have speaking appearances. So if you want to hang out with Tony, yeah, you can go stalk him, I guess. And unless somebody's going to chat and say, hey, and we're all not like weird or whatever. It's just that I don't have appointments to do that stuff. So, but for Agorizer specifically, I owe you stuff. So that means if you're going to go there, thanks for bringing that up. I'll drag some shit with me as long as you don't mind me giving it to you in person. The stuff I was supposed to be sending you a while back for winning some kind of a bacon giveaway. Um, Might have been on this show, right? I think I was testing a giveaway tool or something, and Agorizer was one. But if you're traveling, if you're flying or something, and you don't want stuff handed off, I get that, and I'll just send it to you. But the goals is a little different than other events. Well, it's different than all of them. You've been doing it before, so you can tell people more than I have. I'm only watching it from afar. But in the respects that they have a range day, which is for media and industry to chat and to share. So that's cool because only a couple of events bother with that. a couple of them big major events. In other words, some of them have in the last year or two, but that's goals started with that right away, so that's smart. Then they have a day where it's just sort of like the indoor version of that, where the media and the industry can hang out. And when they say that, that's true, but it also means the industry can go hang out with each other. And people don't think about that because media only thinks about themselves ever. But when you go to SHOT Show or something, that's 60,000 people. So if there's a booth of 16 people, there's probably 12 people that are in the booth and then 4 people out walking around. And those people are talking to people in other booths, like because the industry talks to each other. And that's how they figure shit out. And they, like, oh, you're going to make some kind of thing, that I need to make a thing shaped this way, on my product. So that's how they learn all that stuff. And I think that that's a good chunk of, or I mean, that was incorporated into goals. And I think that's uh, respectable. I think that's a important element for for the industry, and to incorporate an entire day that people are going to travel and schedule and be there for. That's solid. So I'm curious. I'm definitely interested in seeing that. So that being said, goals is then the other 2 days are open to the public, so it's industry and their customers, right? Industry and end users. Unlike something like SHOT Show, there's nothing. You're not bothering anybody, and you're not in the way of doing business, and it's not like you're not supposed to be there. It's like it's literally built for that. So in that respect, it's very much like the NRA show. Tony's been to both NRA and those. So am I wrong? Like that's essentially a very similar
Mhm.
environment to like the booths that set up at the NRA.
Well, the cool part to me about goes over the NRA is they do have the media out there that one day. The media is on the floor, so they can do their taping without getting in your way the next day. The next day is open up for the public to be on the floor and check stuff out. And usually at NRA, you got to walk around these guys filming video content, and they're interviewing
Yeah.
people. So yeah, that's kind of annoying if you're only there to see the stuff. It's like, oh great,
Or
move,
if you're there to
asshole.
see like Clover, Clover will be like, "Hey, if you see me at the show, say hey." And then Clover will like close off a booth, have his people, because he has like 12 people he brings with him, have
Uh-huh.
his people like stand guard, and then he'll like take over that booth for maybe 3-4 hours, right, doing a podcast or whatever. And then if you come up to talk to him, he'll be like, "Get away from me!" And then some of his people will run up and knock you over. They'll frisk you and make sure you're not doing anything weird, and then they'll just run you out the building. So it's really frustrating when you're just trying to meet your celebrity idols like Clover, and other people treat people differently. But you know what I mean? Like you go up to say somebody and like, "Hey, I'm filming a video, so get lost." Like, scram, buddy. I got plenty of subscribers. I don't need you bothering me right now. That's the attitude you get from most of them. But because, like you're saying, they do the media thing separate. Now, if the
Hmm.
media, they probably walk all around like, "Hey, talk to me. I'm that famous guy you've seen on YouTube. Like, you can get my advice." They're not like this show where you can get the advice every week. Like, you have to go drive all the way over there to get their advice.
And since it's new, it's smaller, so people aren't there. So you don't have 70,000, 80,000 people like you do at the NRA show. You have 2,000, 3,000 people. Lot smaller, lot easier to get around, lot better restaurants. I felt over the NRA or shot because it's in Knoxville, Tennessee. You don't feel like you're being taken advantage of like these bigger shows. I mean, come on, dude. Atlanta, no. Knoxville, nice. uh, Being on the floor, being able to talk to guys, hanging out with them. If the guy that was with me there last year, if you have a gun you need to make a holster to, this dude was making holsters on the floor of the show. Like he made a holster for me for my high point on the floor of
Just
the
as I
show.
put Ozzy's name up on the screen, so now everybody misunderstanding, you think Ozzy's going to be making holsters at the show.
Yeah, Ozzy's going to be making. Ozzy Osbourne is actually going to be making. He didn't really pass away. He just started making Kydex holsters.
Now this is Orsborn. Um, Jeff's out there. Welcome. One of the
Oh,
things I
cool.
just found out about is that this, and nobody talks about this, probably because they're scared or there's some kind of hush money or whatever I'm not involved in. But this event is being held underneath the Sun Dome or whatever it's called in Knoxville. You know about
What is
that?
a Sunday?
I think like I went there whenever it happened. So like the 1970 something. I forget what they call these
Oh,
things, like state fair or
yeah, the big ass,
semi-hedral
the
fair or something like
yeah, the big
quadrihedral.
ass lollipop, that big
Yeah,
ass
right.
lollipop thing to stand
Sun
beside the
dome
building.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think it was back in the days of like, one day we'll harness the power of the sun and it'll be in a thing called a solar panel. So we're going to put a giant gold ball in the air. Maybe it looked like a
yep.
golf ball. I can't remember. And it was a big deal at the time. Like we didn't have a lot of things back then. So putting a big ball in the air was important to all of us. Anyway, so whatever those were those world fairs or were they
Yeah.
hemisphere fairs or something? It was some event where they go and they build like a whole bunch of buildings for it. And then after it's over, they tear most of them down. Well, that's like the
Well, it could be
piece
the
that
World
they.
Fair or the State Fair.
Okay,
Could be a
so
World Fair or State Fair. Yeah.
I remember going to it because you could eat all kinds of different food from everywhere. So that was I mean, like, okay, you can do other things and eat from all these different countries or whatever. Like, I remember that part of it, I think. But anyway, then years later on The Simpsons, they made it epic because it's full of wigs or something. I can't actually, I'll have to go back and figure out what episode it is. But I don't know if you remember this Simpson episode from back in the day where I forget what happens and somebody crashes into it and a bunch of wigs fall out of it. So really concerned that it is full of wigs and that we're going to be doing this event right underneath of it. And if somebody does crash into it, it's chaos. So nobody mentioned this. I had to figure it out on Google Maps. Hopefully, the event will happen without any issues. Was this the exact same place it was last year?
Yep. The exact same place it was last year.
All right, then it's possible that nothing weird will happen, but I'm just saying, no one said anything about
So
that.
I look forward to being down there and talking to other advocates. I was looking at GRPC and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Unless somebody like I have to, the amount of funds we go through, I have to be frugal with what we do. Like we use, 1,500 rounds of ammo per diversity shoot. That's 3 cases a month to fly out and do a speech or something, or even just to participate in an event. It has to actually somehow come back on us as donations in a way or contacts that we can get stuff. Uh, so I look at this going to goals, the ability we're going to do a podcast there. I'm going to be hanging out with other people in the industry, including people from my own radio network, Firearms Radio Network. It really makes sense for me to go to that. It made sense for me to go to GunCon. It made sense for me to go to SHOT Show. It paid off for us going to NRA show. Great. Maybe other shows will start letting us do podcasts from there, like the NRA is. But it has to be something to help the diversity shoot grow, word of diversity shoot to get out, and really go into a place where we're talking to other advocates, and that's the audience. Eh, When I can go to goals and actually talk to real people who are signed up to goals just to be in an advocacy organization, I can talk to them how to go forth and be advocates themselves. It's different than going to an echo chamber of advocates. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference.
No, an echo chamber is gives the connotation that like someone is standing there and like at a podium and like saying stuff that a bunch of people in the audience know is going to be said and want to hear, and you're just like feeding them exactly what they want to hear. And but the problem is, I would say GRPC is more like if you took a reel-to-reel tape recorder and put it on a podium, because that's my issue is that it's the same every year. Like not only is it preaching to the choir, but worse, they refuse to change, and it's a recording every year. I mean, technically it's not, but I'm
I
just
mean,
trying to
I
say,
think it's
I'm just trying to
great to
emphasize
give
I have
us.
more of an issue with it than just the fact that they're more than they're not evolving, and it's I don't know how long I'm losing my interest in participate. Oh, I've lost, I guess, my interest in participating with something that isn't evolving, while we have movement in other places. Like pick a place and there's movement, and then a couple of places where there isn't movement, it's friction bound up by almost always unawareness and confusion, right? Like uh, misunderstanding. So Anyway, I think that that's time wasted, I guess. So, and if you're not moving forward, you're wasting everybody's time. And I don't want to be a jerk. It's not like I'm trying to rag on them, but since we're talking about it, I'm going to throw it out there. Nobody listens to the show anyway. Only 20, dozens and dozens of people
Well,
listen to the show. That's all.
well, no, I was a speaker at two of the GRPCs because they let me do it remotely. And I totally get that. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed seeing people. But to fly all the way out there and take the time off and then pay for a hotel and do, and I'm like, that's a lot. If you guys aren't paying me to go, you know what I mean? As in paying for the flight, paying for the hotel. And truthfully, my days off of work. I mean, I have to take, I have 24 2A4E events a year I'm doing. Plus, I'm going to like three or four national shows. That's a lot of time off. The time off has to make sense.
You know, and it's not just the national level organizations. That's whatever. Pick a number cost for Tony to go. You take that and you divide it by two, and two companies could make that happen. It doesn't have to be on the hands of the
Mm,
people who are creating the event, right?
yeah, true. I mean, whoever, but it has to be, not coming out when we drop over. Again, it's three cases of ammo a month, $350 in food a month. Like, there's other things that the funds can go for. But yeah, if someone wants to fly a brother out to GRPC to speak or to be there, yeah, great, I'll do it.
I think there's
But
value in it. Jeff is Jeff Knox for people who are just paying attention, aren't really watching or whatever. Advocate uh, now on the board, one of the reform members of the board. If
yes,
you're able to, we should have him on sometime and chat. I'm not sure if he'll build goals if he said or not, but talking about GRPC, and I don't want to like say I'm talking freely or whatever, but my goal isn't to shit on it or
no,
cause whatever people to not go. You should go experience it. Like I say, even if it is, if the worst case scenario it's as horrible as I'm saying, a tape recorder every year. Unless you've listened to it, you then go listen to it. Like it is valuable, it's useful. But here's what Jeff is saying: they've changed up GRPC some, but the main objective originally was to get folks together to network and hopefully build cooperation. And let's not
okay,
leave anything hanging because I'm the one, if anybody's going to talk about this, nobody else is going to bother. Um, GRPC, Gun Rights Policy Conference, was created by the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, which is sort of a sister national level organization with the Second Amendment Foundation. And it started back in like 1985, if I'm remembering off the top of my head correctly. But it was
okay,
definitely the late 80s or something, or the early 80s. And it originally started, like Jeff said, as a way to get people together, and that was massively valuable at the time. I won't get into the whole history of stuff, but it would be, anytime anybody wants me to rant on this, it would be useful because we can't forget where we came from and the accomplishments of the people using the tools and technology at the time, because I think that's not just interesting, but important because there's no magic. There was no fucking Bloomberg. There was no superhero of technology or like some popular uh, celebrity who championed. Like Wayne did not super lobby anything happen. Like all of this was a bunch of regular people who were definitely not working together, who all had the same overall goal and accomplished things that either alone did something amazing or set the, I don't know what the words are in volleyball, but you watch somebody playing volleyball, it's like bap bap bap, and then the actual move happens. Like that kind of shit happened, not necessarily by planning, but by reaction maybe. And people need to know that because it's the same. Nothing's going to save us now except for that. Like understanding that, yeah, your actions make a difference. When Tony's talking about supporting an organization in New Jersey so that it can grow. What does it look like when Tony has packaged a franchisable thing? That is a kit that could be applied all over, and that accomplishes normalization of guns, like people understanding that guns are just another hobby and that they've been duped with the concept that they're so dangerous. What's that world look like? and literally that no one knows what the what the cause of that result is until we start to see it. So anyway, I think there's a lot of value in a company sending you there to help change it a little bit. But anyway, I guess I wanted to elaborate that the gRPC has been around for a long, long time. It's been critical. I guess I don't even know, but I suspect it's been critical many, many dozens of times in doing exactly what Jeff said, bringing people together to give them a place. Because otherwise, where are they going to go? Shot show. Shot show has different goals and objectives, and most advocates might be in the industry, but they're there with their industry job. So if they're,
Hmm.
whatever their job is, that's what they're there at Shot Show for. They might take some time and have a dinner or two, a conversation at cigarettes like Clover would do with, he's trying to get everybody to smoke all the time. So he wants people to go out and have, conversation at the cigarette break area. But that's all you have to do is steal away some time, right? So gRPC is devoted to that. You come to there, and literally, one of the things that enamored me, is that the right word? Like made me so interested in it is the first time when Charles Heller made me go in 2015, almost kicking and screaming, because at the time I had been big YouTube celebrity dude, and I was like, I don't have time for all this stuff. I'm an advocate. I'm a life member of all three organizations. If I didn't say that, I was thinking that. And then I went to it, and it is Friday night. People get together and kind of chill and hang out, and then chat. And the conversations were amazing, all about stuff I was interested in. It was the people I heard about or read about having the conversations. It was awesome. And then Saturday was a bunch of lectures. I mean, it was literally the same thing that happened, almost literally the same thing that you'll see this year. So that's my one complaint, is that they don't change that part of it. And it's literally not scripted or anything, but they don't really do anything to evolve the presentation. So there's the presentations. It's a conference, so it's presentations all during the day. And then Friday night or Saturday night, you get together, eat, and chat. And again, amazing, amazing time. And I wasn't doing anything the first time I went in 15. I was just watching it all happen, but I could see what was happening, hear the conversations. It was incredible. And I got a massive, uh, what's the word, like opportunity to see the scale of the industry, the Second Amendment industry, not the gun industry, but because I've been to SHOT Show in 2015. I've been going to SHOT Show for 10 years. So when I went to the Gun Rights Policy Conference, I'm a dude who's been going to SHOT Show, taking in SHOT Show for a dozen years or whatever, a decade. So when I went to Gun Rights Policy Conference, like I was like a sponge. I'm getting all of it. So I was impressed. I immediately became the media guy for our Arizona Citizens Defense League, and attempted to bring them into the 2000s, and offered. Well, that's the first time I met Paul. Um, he doesn't remember that, but that was the first time I met him, and that's the Gun Rights Policy Conference that got him to start doing the live feed, because they suck so bad at technology. I don't want to talk shit, because Charles Heller's cool and he kept up with it, but all they ever did was audio record it. They never video record it until Paul started doing it a while later. But anyway, so it's an amazing thing. Like the fact that everybody gets to come together for that purpose is more than necessary. And then they started doing AmCon, which I love and
Yep.
hate equally. Like I love the whole concept. I like everybody, but I hate that it's exactly what I just said about Gun Rights Policy Conference. It's exactly the same thing every year. And it drives me nuts that they don't realize that we all know each other already. We don't need to introduce each other. Like I don't need to be introduced to freaking riding shotgun with Charlie ever again. I know Charlie so well. It'd be like me like you introducing yourself to me. Like it's ridiculous. So that part of it drives me nuts. But and I wish they would change that. But again, if you haven't been, it's super valuable. Like you can't be at a better place. And I don't know, it's like contagious, or like it's, I think that's the right word. Like you just being around the actual movers and shakers, like the players, is it's cool. Like you can go to SHOT Show and see, I don't know, somebody who shoots fast. Like I could give a crap. You can see somebody. I get impressed when I meet like the inventors of things. But you meet somebody at like, oh, I work for so and so. Like I don't care. Like, oh, that's neat. You have a neat job.
So
Like I guess I envy your job a little bit. But when you get to go hang out with like Jeff and other people who are like actual people who've done shit, like Rhonda
yeah.
Ezel. You can go meet Rhonda
Yep.
East. Well,
Oh my
she
God.
might. I got her at a couple of gun rights policies. I don't know if she goes every year. I don't want to
Yeah.
encourage people. Find out if she's going or not. But that's the kind of people you can meet. Actual people who are on, winning Supreme Court lawsuits twice.
Hmm.
That part of it's pretty awesome. And it's a
So
massively small. If you said it's better going to goals because it's a little smaller than shot or NRA, I mean,
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
is this is a room where there's like 15, 25 people in the room. It's 400 at the most. So yeah, it's much smaller.
So I guess the problem with I, my way of seeing it was I've never physically been. So I watched it online. You know what I mean? I watched it online for years. And when I participated, it was either I did it live or I did a recording and sent a recording. So I wasn't able to be in a room. And, I'm friends with a significant amount of activists and it'll be great. But we bump into each other and see each other at NRA. We see each other or bump into each other at other places. So I've never been to GRPC, but I'm looking at what Jeff wrote, and he's right. I mean, if you don't get to some of these other things, when are you going to actually see the advocates and activists? It's just more opportunity. I have that opportunity because of the work I do, but also because of the shows I'm on. That I have podcasts, so I'm part of the industry on the media side also. But this is just a purely activism thing, and then with what's the name of the event the day before? Am am
AmCon,
am
and
AmCon.
don't ask me what it stands for because it's
I
frustrating.
don't know. I just remember Paul's first time doing it. It's different. So that's the help with podcasting. So yeah, it's a smart place to go, especially if you again are podcast or in that part of it. Get there and meet people and coordinate. Understand to learn people, you got to meet people. To you got to put in work. That's the way I look at it, and that's part of putting in the work is going to events and actually meeting people in the
And
flesh, not
these
just
and
online.
gun rights policy conference at least is like a cheat sheet. Like it is doing the cheat because it's everybody in one place and they're there to chat with you. I mean, they may be busy doing other things, but you'll get a word with anybody you could think of. Like it's a cool place, and if you have something interesting to say, it's possible that you could change the course of something's going on because you literally have access to everybody there. If you had like a good
Uh,
app or something, like you could show up and everybody could figure out something, or like some kind of banking thing or something. Like
well,
somebody could show up and change the whole dynamic because it's such a hands-on.
well, it is cool though. Like when I was invited out to speak in Arizona, it was great seeing everybody and seeing Jeff in real life. You know what I mean? I got to meet him in real life. I get to hang out with other people, like Rhonda Mary was there, Ursula Williams was there. I got to see, of course, Cheryl Todd, Danny Todd, all of them. I get to hang out with them. So I guess yeah, it would be cool to be at one place dedicated to that. It's just, whew, that's in September. This is the first week of August or second week of August, August 9th, 10th. Um, I have two more events in August. August 14th, recoil range. August 28th, gun for hire range. And then I have other events I have to hit of my own. So making one more event before the end of the year, flying out to it. Ooh, well, we'll see. Funding is a real thing.
Well, and taking time off of work is, unless you have like the best job in the world, that's always a factor. But
Yeah,
again, as
no.
far as national level events, now again, I put a differentiation between 2A and guns. Like if you're in the gun
Hmm.
community, then you're probably SHOT Show, goals, NRA, anything else. But if you're Second Amendment, you truly give a shit about the rights and that kind of stuff over the grip angles and the red dots and shit like that, then it is GRPC goals
Hmm.
and then anything else because the only thing that's worthwhile is GRPC and goals. I'm hoping goals. I don't want to act like goals is so great. 'Cause I haven't been there yet, and it's only their second year, and it's GOA. I mean, I like GOA and everything. I'm not here to talk shit, but I will because I'm not getting paid by nobody. They compromise, so act like they don't, but they have, and everybody's a business. So if this doesn't make money, they can't waste money. You know what I mean? So I don't. I acknowledge this thing is different than the other events, but the same way that we don't have gun shows anymore, the same people that'll challenge, that'll uh, not like that I'm challenging goals is perfect, because there's a lot of goals is perfect out there.
Hmm.
The people that'll give me pushback, I guess, on that will never go to a gun show again. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, we want it every way. Like, are gun shows relevant? No. So goals is relevant. Why? So, I mean, I dig all of it. Like, I don't want to again shit on it, but
Oh,
it is supposedly going to be, well, it is literally built to have the media and the industry a part of it instead of just like exploiting the industry and the media, which is awesome. And then, like I said, I really think they don't really hype it up, but I think the fact that the media day at the range and then the first day being only media is also industry. Industry gets a chance to chat with each other. And I think that's not critical until it happens for a number of years, but I could see it being a critical factor in the community, in the industry, because they don't really get an opportunity to. Everything they do is either a trade show or a buyers group type of thing. So they're always on the hustle to sell or to compete with each other. I don't know of any industry event that actually brings people together. I mean, they're probably like small things that happen in small niches of the industry. But the thing to bring like the real industry together and then give them a day at the range and a media day where they can actually talk to each other, and yeah, they can deal with us too with media. But you know what I mean? Like, I really think that's valuable. So I'm not talking shit about goals at all. Like, I think it's got the potential to be better than anything else that's been out there. But I also acknowledge that it's GOA running it and they're a business more than anything else. So just because I think I mean, I thought GOA had, I mean, I thought GRPC had massive potential and whatever. I mean, literally 10 years later, I'm talking shit about it. It took me 10 years to come to this conclusion. So I'm giving goals some time or whatever. But I'm also not blindly supporting anything that just because it's being pushed in front of me.
I think NRA is also an important one to go to if you want to be at a national level event for the freaking members meeting. Because truthfully, if you're a member of the NRA, you can actually go into the members
Oh,
meeting.
snap. No, it's true. Like, I can't deny. I was going to say I didn't include NRA because I want to see what they end up doing. But you're right. Like, it's everything that it's always been. And 25% of the floor space of NRA, nobody talks about it because hardly anybody goes over and videos over there. But 25% of the floor space is nonprofits and weird collector groups and just weird stuff. Like somebody that's collecting like little tiny cannons. That's one of the reasons I collect little tiny cannons, because I saw that I'm at NRA and I'm like, I had no idea that there was a whole collectors group for these things. Or the weird guns that the poker players used in the Civil War or something. Like, that collectors group will be there. The miniature collectors groups will show up. The Civil War uniform thing, the World War II uniform thing, right? Like the all this kind of, like the Thompson collectors group will be there. So there's all this stuff that NRA brings together that I didn't think about. And then obviously the NRA itself is an organization. You're right about the members meeting. Speaking of that, Jeff is one of the reform uh,
Hmm.
candidates or whatever you call, like board members now. And I mean, I'm the first to agree that or kind of be first in line to see, what happens as the NRA comes back, because you know what I mean? It's kind of like Christmas, or kind of like, I mean, going to a restaurant or something and saying, maybe give me chef's choice or something. Like, it's going to be good. You're just not sure what direction it's going to go in. So at least I'm fairly optimistic about it. There's nobody out there petitioning for let's do things the old way, or at least the people that have those ties or strings are becoming fewer and fewer. So as new people are voted in, let's say, or become part of the NRA, I can't imagine too many of them are saying, let's go back to doing things the way that got us into all this hot water financially and in the media and everything. So, what's happening next is unwritten, but the people writing it are solid. Like we've talked about it a million times. We know a chunk of the people.
Yeah.
So
So,
I just think that it has to, just like I always call it the aircraft carrier, but if you want to call it like a big truck or something, I've been driving a lot, big truck. They take time to get going. Once they're going, like, don't get in front of them when they're going 85 miles an hour. In fact, don't get in front of them when they're going 85 miles an hour because they can't stop that fast. But once they get going, they're fast. But they don't jump off the line like a sports car. Like, it's gonna take the NRA a minute to do what it's gonna do.
So with the NRA, Jeff put in another one. The NRA owns the Great American Outdoor Show now. As far as like we're
Good
talking
point.
advocacy, the Great American Outdoor Show, I mean, it allows you to join it and allows you to see other groups that may be there. Because I know NRA, ILA sit there right at the entrance on one side. And, I know those guys, they're awesome people. Um, you can join that, you can actually talk to them. But I don't think they have like a members meeting or stuff like that. But if you really want to get into something that just costs a few dollars, and if you're within 4 hours, go drive. I mean, it's a good, for me, driving from Jersey, it's like 2.5, 3 hours one way. Go there, hang out, see stuff, drive back, and actually help fund the NRA. And again, join NRA ILA. And actually, there's nothing wrong with benefiting from the advocacy and putting money back into it. That's great too. But there's shows that regular people, I mean, that's what I was until I became lost my mind and became an advocate. And I'm still a regular person. I still got to drive. I still got to spend my money. I still got to pay for the hotel. But I know if I wasn't into advocacy, because I've always been into firearms, um, heck yeah, 2 hour drive, 3 hour drive to go hang out and touch guns all day. Yeah, 100%, definitely. Same thing with GOA. If you're within 3, 4 hours, cool thing, go hang out and then hang out in downtown Knoxville. It's on a weekend. So get a hotel room and enjoy it, living in another, I mean, being in another state, seeing some cool stuff, and then bumping into some of the people from YouTube and stuff like that, or gun tubers, or talk to the dudes in the companies because they chilling too. I mean, it's really a low stress show because it's only a couple of days. So
Well,
it's
no
not like
business is being done, so you're right. Like, I didn't think I'm going to interrupt you, sorry. But when you're talking about the after stuff, Shot Show
yeah.
is like 4 days of stress, and there's, like, for the people putting up booths, probably a couple of days on both ends of stress, just dealing with it and getting
Hmm.
there and all that, making sure everything's right, and then getting it to wherever it has to go next. So, and then when you're there, you're doing business. So at night, you're either like, I'm letting my hair down, oh sorry, or uh you're just continuing to do business or whatever, right? Like, but one of the two,
Yep.
like, hey, I paid a lot of money to be here, I'm doing business. I know a lot of people that go to these parties just to do business, right?
Yep.
So um uh GOA a little different because you don't have that whole aspect of the industry being there to do business. And it's more like, again, end user. So you're more like, maybe you're interested in what the end users got to say, curious about what they want to see next, listening to their feedback in different ways than you could get anywhere else. But aside from trying to catalog all that in your head, now you're just out. You're just some guy that works for Smith and Wesson or something at night, right? Like, so now you're at the bar having a conversation with a couple of people, and or at the bowling alley or whatever it is you do in the evenings to relax after a convention day. And yeah, you're just having conversations with the local town
Yep.
folk or the other people there from other parts of the country for whatever reasons they're for. And then you find out, oh, yeah, you know, anyway, so it's not like
And
Shot where you
also,
come in and you take over. Or maybe it is. Is it like every bar and every restaurant you go to, you can tell
so
people you're there from the convention?
it's really cool because you could, again, it's small. Remember, it's small and it's in a college town. So there are lots of restaurants, lots of places, and you'll just bump into people, or you're staying in the same hotel with them, and you're coming down and holy crap, there's so and so, so and so, and so and so in the restaurant, and that's cool. And you end up bumping into each other somewhere else, or you might even get involved. Just go talk to them. That's cool. And again, it's small. So you might run into them and they could be more personal because you're not the 700th person that day to say you like their YouTube thing. I mean, I met Kyle Rittenhouse at SHOT Show a few years ago, a couple years ago. And then I ran into him again over here at Goals, and it was like a totally different thing because, it's Kyle Rittenhouse. He's getting bombarded at SHOT Show every 2 steps. Somebody knows him. But at GOA, he was walking his dog. You know what I mean? He was just outside as a young dude walking his dog. I'm like, hey man, how you doing? And spoke to him for like 10, 15 minutes and kept it moving. Who else? I mean, so I saw stuff like that. I think that's pretty cool. It's cool going to the smaller shows. Plus, they have concerts. And they had a comedy show last year, so that's worth going to. What you call it? Great American Outdoor Show also has concerts, and they have many other things. So these events are worth going to and supporting the Second Amendment organizations out there. Definitely. Uh, I might have to change my attitude about GRPC because, again, I participated in it, but I wasn't physically there. And I think it would be really cool to be at a very small event with people I know, a significant number of people I know were speakers at GRPC. You know what I mean?
Oh, you know what? It's because you went to that thing in February in Arizona that I keep
Yeah,
thinking, I'm like, what do you mean you were at GRPC? Because I always go to GRPC in Phoenix. It wasn't in that. Well, I think GRPC might have been in that building once. But anyway, um, my too many trips to Phoenix, and I keep thinking you've been to GRPC, but yeah. Um, well, like I say, I really think that I don't know which companies out there are going to do it, but I think if you've got interest in investing in moving the needle a bit, I think throwing Tony at GRPC is worth it because Tony knows what to do. He's not like throwing somebody who's naive into an event for the first time. Like you'd go there and be fairly comfortable with everybody there and know everything, but you'd be able to offer, hey, a perspective on, okay, offer a perspective on what they're missing. I don't know. I'm trying to say a nice way of like, because they need a poke in the butt. And the problem is, I'm trying to say it nicely. They get people that show up and then never come back again, and they need to be told that since nobody comes back again, they don't send out like a survey that goes, "Why didn't you come back?" and then have a place on that survey where people can actually answer, and then they can like learn from that. So I don't like I say I don't know who would send Tony, but you'd have to wouldn't have to work up that much, I
Yeah.
suspect. But anyway, going back and Jeff saying GRPC helped break the attitude of various organizations being in competition and shift to the idea of cooperation. And I don't know if I was at any of those. And here's the thing: as much as I say like you meet everybody, what happens is GRPC is like in a hotel always, and there's like a hotel with like a conference room or something, and it's a small
Hmm.
conference room, 400 people. There's like an area outside the conference room where they'll have tables, and that's where I met like Rhonda Ezo. Uh, 2010, I think, no, 18. It was in uh, Chicago. Obviously, I didn't even think about it,
Hmm.
but she was right there. Of course, she's gonna go. So anyway, those tables out front had different organizations set up, and you could chat with them like during breaks or in between speakers and that kind of thing. So the conversations, you may hear a conversation here and there, but then the actual stuff, like Jeff's talking about, I suspect, like the actual, hey, head of this organization or founder of this organization and lawyer from this organization, they go into a room somewhere and do whatever they're going to do. So I may have been at some of these GRPCs when kind of the evolution there happened, but it's not like they happened on stage for sure. So I understand there's that value, the hidden behind the scenes value, but I guess I'm looking at the opportunity cost, seeing as I've been massively active in YouTube gun community between 2009 and 2020, I guess, when I officially quit doing it, but maybe 17, where I was like still doing stuff, had some kind of influencer stuff. And that's when it was driving me nuts that GRPC was just standing still at a time when the internet was not, they were very critical of fuddery and anybody who wasn't up with whatever the current jargon of the day was. You had to really be savvy to be taken at the time seriously, and so many people figured that out and became fucking massively rich, pardon my French, but they're all assholes and I hate them because they became massively rich while GRPC people sat there going do 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 do, and all that money transferred, and it was going to happen. Like a bunch, we're rich. Like the country's rich, gun owners are rich. Like, sorry, we're all rich. You may not be, but as a community, we are. Like, we're super rich, and we move money around like crazy, and that's why it drives me nuts. I've seen too many. I've been the fly on the wall at way too many SHOT Shows. I know how much money's out there, and the CRPC's no different. But anyway, as far as like knowing, everyone sees how FPC, where was FPC 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? Like now FPC's touching everything, I guess. And then there's Second Amendment Foundation. I don't know. Are they even? Their marketing is not good. So I don't know if people realize how many things they're touching. Like they help a lot. Like I don't know if they take credit or if they're just not good at putting their name out there. They don't have a spokesperson who's like that person, right? And they don't have like the memery that FPC has. So, Second Amendment Foundation, and I don't know if that second, I mean, I don't know the like gossip and stuff. There must have been some amount of gossip, like maybe so and so didn't want to work with somebody for some reason. But for the most part, Second Amendment Foundation seems to have been cooperative throughout its existence, with exceptions here and there. But I guess what I'm saying is I think everyone has seen like a general cooperation of all these organizations, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that happened in those closed door things at GRPC over a couple of years. But I doubt they have anything to do with GRPC anymore. Like, there's no way that they're waiting for GRPC to have a conversation or anything. You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't even know if the people who are talking about are attending. There's Gun Owners Radio. Do you think that's probably Cheryl? Or no, wait, Gun
What's
Owners
that?
Radio. That's
Yeah.
California.
Yep.
It's Ghost Towns out there also. Well, now we're 3 hours in. We got real activists joining us. Gun Owners Radio, I'd say, probably doing some of the most work out there. Effective work, cutting new ground, but also not just like there's some people that are like, I'm going to do something new to do something new. I do that quite a bit, and then just keep moving. They do definitely double down on the stuff that's effective, and I suspect, in spite of challenges that all organizations have with you know rise and falls in whatever popularity, income, membership, that kind of thing. If you're not getting attacked, people tend to not give a shit. So again, the goals in Massachusetts, I'd say the NJF, no, CNJFO. There we go. I don't say it enough, so you
Mm-hmm.
guys say it way faster, obviously.
Okay.
And then Gunners Radio. You know what we need is something in New Mexico. We need like a massive superstar in New Mexico, and then something in Oregon.
Oh well,
But
definitely Oregon, Washington, and stuff.
as I say, Knoxville is a nice small city. I have been there once back in the mid '80s. I've been through it a million times, but staying
Mm-hmm.
there when I was a little kid, they're saying that the World's Fair was in the '60s, so I obviously wasn't at the World's Fair, but I've been to the World's Fair grounds, I guess, when I was a little kid. I guess I probably went there for some other fair and didn't understand. I was a little kid when I went. But that's where Gunners Radio is saying GRPC is a great event to connect with people in real life. And again, I don't want to, I'm just frustrated that it doesn't evolve. But the fact that it exists, I want to give them 100% credit, and more than credit's due. Like, they don't need to make that thing happen. It's way cheaper to just not do it. And it's like most of the not Second Amendment, but the Citizens Committee for Right to Keep and Bear Arms, their entire budget is the Gun Rights Policy Conference. It's a completely free, and it's awesome. Like, there's nothing bad about it. It's free food. They have vegan options, which is awesome, and like Mountain Dew and stuff, like actual drinks. There's coffee and stuff, which costs like hundreds of dollars a pot at a convention center hotel thing like that. So like they're spending the money on the attendees. Like there's nothing, and then you get a bunch of materials and stuff, and they bring everybody together, and then all the behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, I'm being petty, and I'm not trying to say don't go. If you're on the fence or whatever, yeah, go. unless you've gone for a number of years and you feel like, uh, you know, whatever, then go. But tend to, oh, that's what Woods is saying. A lot of big deal folks in the chat today. That's just pretty good, cool today.
That's cool.
Maybe this is here every week and nobody says anything, because how would we know? Because a lot of people don't say stuff. We're in a pretty good mix of YouTube and X today too, so that's pretty cool. Usually it's very X centric or X heavy.
Yeah, I was looking at what they were saying. Um,
My biggest thing with gRPC, I think, is the way to summarize it after years of bitching is either make it for the advocates, in which case boring, like nerdy lecture because we can handle it and we need it, like we could definitely handle it, like give it to us, but they don't. They make it weird so that it's sort of for the regular person, and the regular person is either I hate guns and I don't like guns, or I'm a gun owner. Why do I care about this event? Like, I hate the NRA. Why do I care about this? Or like, I like the GOA. Why do I care about this? So, which is basically the only three things that a gun owner would say about gRPC, I think, or at least the first three things they would say. They don't care about addressing any of that, and that's what's frustrating. Like, and it's like watching a bunch of nerds not care that everyone calls them a bunch of nerds. Like, it's their right to be a bunch of nerds, but you're like, dang, if you'd comb your hair different and not just be nerds, then other people would hang out with you, and then it could be cooler. Like, maybe it wouldn't be cooler. It's just there's no way for us to know because you just keep being nerds. Like, I'm kind of using jokes or whatever, but mainly it's like they won't decide if it's for advocates, in which case let the lawyers nerd out on us. We can handle it. But if you're going to make it for regular people, like welcome to the Second Amendment, ugh, this is not like you cannot whiplash people into a lawyer nerd conversation for 2 hours and then try to have like Coleon or something. I don't even know if they've ever had Coleon, but like try to have some like hip new Coleon video saying like, welcome to the gun scene, your rights matter, or like Tony, like jumping in with like a soundbite. One or the other. Like, you're either inviting new people in and like, welcome to guns, and this is your tutorial, which would be awesome. Like, that would be, I could get behind either of these. Or like, hey, you're into guns and stuff. Like, you're ready for the advanced course because guess what? We're about to get a PhD in whatever's going on. Washington, take the stage. Like, Nevada, take the stage. Colorado, take the stage, and let's figure out what we can do. Like, I think that would be my current suggestion to them is pick a route or do two. Maybe one day is one and one day is the other, or gRPC fall and gRPC spring or something. I'm down for more than one. It's probably asking too much from people. Then Woods is
I don't
saying, could
know.
it be better for us as consumers, or am I crack? Yeah, exactly. I think that was kind of what I was saying is they don't know their audience. They don't seem to care, which is the frustrating part.
So I see Gun Owners Radio talk about Adam Kraut. So I got to see Adam more this year than I've seen him. Adam's a friend of mine. We used to see each other more because he was in Pennsylvania. He was here in Pennsylvania, and I'd run into him at places, and it was really great. But then he got picked up. He was with FPC. Now he's doing this, and I saw him at NRA, which is awesome. I saw him at the Great American Outdoor Show in February, and then I saw him at GunCon last month. And I also got to interview him, which was a first for me. Which was also, how you interview your friend. Hey, what's up, Adam? What's new with you and how things have been? Adam's AR was the first SBR I ever shot. Like, I still got that picture up on stuff. Matter of fact, my profile picture on Instagram is from the weekend I actually met Adam face to face in real life. So it was pretty cool. And yeah, I guess me and my friends, like, met Jeff Knox for the first time. That was really cool when I was out in Arizona for their 10th anniversary of the Second Amendment group out there. Um, Eric Platt. So I met him at GOA, but I don't even know if he remembers it. But I got to hang out with him and Amanda at GunCon. So it's really good to get people in real life and meet them. And also, you get the feel of who these people really are. These advocates that some of them, and it's like, holy crap. So
There's
when
only
they're
like
doing
six of
things,
them that are fake. And that's, like you can just tell by just watching
woo,
somebody interact with other people. Like you can tell a couple of them are like politicians and like, you know what I mean? But
yep.
all the rest of them are like normal people. Yeah. And they're weird or normal or whatever, but
What I
they're,
was
you can
the
tell they're
good
real.
part about the good part about meeting the advocates in real life is when they're running for the NRA board, you've actually met them and you know they aren't fake. I think that's the good part. So I had zero doubts in my mind when I suggested people vote for people like Jeff, people vote for people like Amanda Suffolk, like Rick Ector for the NRA boards. I'm like, yes, do it. 100% do it. Yes, Anthony Calandro is a personal friend of mine. Yes, he's 100% 2A all the way. Like those are the people we need. People who are already advocates that we've met, you've talked to, you've seen on podcasts. They're the people that already put in work. So yes, when you go to these events and you can actually see them and meet them, and you can see behind the bull crap who's real, who's fake. I think it gives you a heads up if you're into advocacy and actually want to get people on board of the NRA board. We need real advocates. Yeah, Adam is still based in PA. It's just we don't see each other a lot. And I think we're like maybe an hour and a half, maybe 90 minutes or less. Uh,
Rick Ector?
yeah, Rick has been ill for a long time. He had some health issues.
Oh, I didn't know that. I do now that you say that. I'm like, oh shit. Now that you say that, I haven't seen Rick post in a long time.
Yeah, yeah, yes, Rick has some health issues. Jeff, if you want to find out, call Amanda. She seems to know stuff. Amanda Suffolk knows because I had a conversation with her about Rick's health.
Is there going to be any kind of Second Amendment advocate meetup at goals that I don't know about that's not GOA like created? I guess I should
Not that I
ask you
know
off here.
about. Not that I know about, but
But once you said
I'm
Amanda
sure there.
Suffolk so many times, I'm thinking like if she's going, I want to go whatever event she's going to. Like I want to go to the real Second Amendment event. I don't
Sure,
want to say the other ones
sure.
aren't, but I don't need to hear a lecture from somebody I don't care about. Tell me about how they think Second Amendment is. Like it's going to be echo chambery, in my opinion. I guess I'm assuming, but I think the speeches are going to be echo chambery, except for Tony's. Tony's won't be echo chambery. No,
Who's
you know
the
what I mean.
weirdest smoker?
Some of them will be interesting, but when I'm thinking of getting a bunch of people together, like I'm
Yeah,
wondering where they're going to meet up at.
yeah, it's crazy because when dude, I mean, like go ahead and name every one of the people, especially the women I know that are, the 2A advocates actually putting in work and getting work done. It's like I never see them not doing something. you know, it's like they're never not moving at 100 miles an hour.
The ladies,
Like
like
sure,
the
yeah.
women for gun rights, I'm, uh, every time I've seen them at a social thing or whatever you'd call like an after hours, yeah, they're all constantly talking about. I guess sometimes they're chatting up about like catching up on something about their personal lives, but if you like, I have been walking around. Like one time, I was trying to get everybody to sign that book.
Hmm.
So I was literally walking around as kind of waiting for pauses in conversations, having to be politely eavesdropping until I could interrupt without being rude or whatever. And yeah, the conversations are on 100% like activist uh, workshop type of conversations. And this is like after work, like after shot show
Yeah.
for 2 days or 3 days. And they're, it's 5 p.m. or something. And they're all sitting around having drinks, but they're still on the clock basically.
If you have nothing to do and you walk and you stumble into a table of Cheryl Todd, Amanda Suffolk, Diana Mueller, Kelly Pigeon, I can't think anybody else now, but if you run into a table with those four, go somewhere else because they're gonna put you to freaking work. They're gonna make you. So you're gonna leave that table having volunteered for at least four things.
Well, that's a good point. Because, yeah, they know of, being in that position. It's like talking to four generals, right? Like
Hmm.
they're going to know where things need to be and what resources are allocated where. Yeah. and more importantly, like they got that intel from doing what they do. Like they, you know what I mean? Like knowing all the pieces on the and the board and everything is one thing, but knowing like the action or the movement of them, and the way things are in motion and being able to take those snapshots, like again, general level overview of what's going on.
Yep, they know people. They know how to get things done. They know the people behind the people. It's amazing. Um,
So
yeah.
Ozzy
So
is
I'm gonna
asking.
be.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Actually, it was about what Ozzy was asking. Ozzy was asking, will you be doing a live at Goals live stream? I'm going to be at Goals, but I'm doing Livewire Media. I'm doing a podcast with them, which is Dave from High Point and Hunter Elliott from Range High. I'm going to be a guest on their show Wednesday night. I'll already be in Knoxville Wednesday. So I'm going to be on their show Wednesday. And then sometime during that weekend, I'll also be doing the podcast with my guys at Locked, Cocked, and Unfiltered. We're going to do a live show from Goals. So I know I'm going to be on two podcasts on that, 4-day period that I'm going to be in Tennessee.
I have yet to figure out the logistics of it, but yeah, I'm sick of people going to these events and focusing on interviews. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it or whatever, but that's I don't like that being the only option. Like back in my day, we went to the shows to see the show. In other words, for the audience to see the show. So I want to show the building, the layout, if I can, like the handouts. I don't know if I don't do the walkthrough, but there must be somebody, hopefully somebody's doing walkthrough since that's so easy to do these days. But I like the collaborate, what's the word? Like the accumulation of coverage. So like it's at least in my view, because I only know like you and Clover and a couple other people who I have basically gone to the interview, like Charlie and Meet the Pressers. Everybody has gone to the like interview thing, and I'm used to, like, I grew up with Mil Spec Monkey and shit, like doing booth reviews. So like everybody quit doing booth reviews because it's not cool no more, which is fine because I don't care how I'm not debating how a YouTube channel works and like what works for viewers and shit. It's just that me personally, I always went to these shows because I always, at least when I started going to the shot into 2005, I was already consider myself media, I guess. Like, my camera wasn't just me taking pictures and putting them on the internet. I was trying to cover things, to archive them for the internet. So when I started going to SHOT Show, I was looking at it like I'm archiving as much as I can. And I also had a bit of, I was younger, I guess. Technically, I was a little bit younger back then, I feel like. But I was trying to, everything was the print. Everything was, we're going to take pictures of it on fucking film. It will be developed with chemicals off of the film, right? The roll of film. And then months later, it'll be like printed on pieces of paper and then sent via like, the old fashioned mail to people's mailboxes. And then they would open it up and look at these pictures from SHOT Show that happened in January, like in August and September. That was 2000 and something, like 2000 ish that was all there was. Because it couldn't have been any different because I had one of the first like 2 megapixel, 1 megapixel cameras in five. Like I was using an old shitty camera, but still, like those cameras barely got invented. So nobody could have been, except for Milspec Monkey, and the other guys that I mentioned. I can't think of their name. Military Moron, Milspec Monkey, and the other dude. They were the
Hoss.
only people. No, no, no. It was way before them. This
Uh,
is 2000, pre 2005. They were the only people even taking digital pictures at SHOT Show. So anyway, all I'm saying is, I go to these events looking at it as like I shouldn't even be here. I'm here to just show how cool the event is. I guess that's the other thing is I went to it and I could care less. I knew there was competent people taking pictures of the guns, but what they never showed, they'd always show like one picture of the crowds or like a picture of a Vegas sign that said SHOT Show this week or welcome SHOT Show
mhm.
attendees. But like I wanted to know what it was about. And I just dug that behind the scenes kind of look, not necessarily behind the scenes like, we're going to show you how the vacuum cleaners work, but here's what the building is. And so if you look at all my coverage from SHOT Show, it's like hundreds of pictures of the crowd and the building and the layout of the booths, I guess is the way to say it. Because if you think about it, when you go into shot, it's this massively big building. The roof is what, 5 stories tall or 4 stories tall or something huge, because they build 2 3 story buildings inside of this building. And very rarely do people ever look up at these booths and go, everything that's happening on the show floor is one thing, and then there's the second layer where all the in a lot of the big shows, that's where all the business takes place, because they're up and higher and nobody can
Hmm.
hear them and they're out of the way, and nobody pays attention that they're building little buildings. So let's say you look at H&K over a number of years, and they were like a little tiny booth with 2 people speaking German, and then they're like a little bit bigger booth, and then eventually, now it's like, oh, we put together this $40,000 booth and throw it away and put in, buy a new $80,000 booth for the next show, because the company is thriving or something. And then you look at some other company and they move from this booth to that booth to back downstairs or something. And that part of the shot show is what I like. So I'm going to go to goals and try to look at that. So when I stream, I'm not going to do like a walk around and just show you everything. I don't believe in that, but I'm going to try to show you the show if I can. And part of it for me is being live. Like that's half of the experience is the noise and the amount of people, the murmuring, right? Like if it's a bunch of mopey people, droopies, right? Or if it's a bunch of people jumping off the walls because it's so exciting and they got so much money to spend. Like how that's part of the coverage, right? Like, was this a good year for guns? Anyway, B-roll, yeah, I guess. Except, is it B-roll? Maybe a documentary. Maybe that's it's not, because I'm not good at I'm not like aware of all the things I need to make it an actual documentary. But yeah, definitely the the backdrop that just everybody doesn't have time. Like most people don't bother, or they understand that the YouTube recipe does not involve looking around. It involves focusing on you, so that you don't forget who your person is, your celebrity is. But then whatever you're holding, and you know whatever grip angle it
So
has this year.
it it really depends because people only replicate what works. I mean, no one's going, "Hey, what's the second place I could be in?" Everybody wants like, "What's the first place dude doing?" Nobody's asking, "Hey, how'd that guy run that finished third in the Olympics?" So yeah, they kind of do the same thing. Now, again, I'm going to be on with Dave. He's not even going to be at the event. I'm going to be there. He's leaving that night. So ours isn't going to be about the show. Truthfully, it's going to be about me assaulting Hunter and goofing on 1911s just so I could get on his nerves. I'm just thinking of one-liners just to annoy Hunter. He's a huge 1911 fan, so I'm going to say ridiculous things just to get his goat. Like, well, we all know the newest iterational version of a 1911, or the company that is like in the 1911 today, is Glock. Like Glock is the modern day Colt, and hopefully his head explodes. So I'm going to be saying stupid stuff like that. So it's mostly entertainment. It's not going to be about goals. Um, so that's that show. And our podcast again. What is it? Keep forgetting it. Locked, cocked, and unfiltered. We're going to be talking about probably training. I mean, because they're going to be just getting there too if we do it on Thursday night. So they're going to be exhausted. We might do it Friday, but we'll get together and we're probably going to be talking about training or some other thing. Who knows what'll happen at the show? But that's going to be interesting. And I have to, I'm going to go ahead and write my highlights of what I'm going to talk about, and it may change after I get down there. Who knows? Uh, because my point of being even diversity shoot isn't the diversity. I know people throw me up there because, I mean, I'm black and I appeal to, and I look for people that look like me, but it's people that's like everyone. It's not just the skin color. And that's what I try to talk about and try to grow the industry based on that. We don't have to look at one person as the Pied Piper to bring others in. We need a Pied Piper in every community. We need two of them. We need a male and a female. We need a gay one and a straight one. We need a they and a them. We have to work hard at this so they don't divide us over something stupid. like a blue jean ad. Like we have to be hip for that. We have to know what's coming.
I don't think we've got uh, Jeff doing a droopy impression. I'm trying to think of all the times I've listened to Jeff do an interview. I think I've heard him do impressions before, just in conversation with somebody. Not just mine, just the times I've heard him, but I don't think I've ever heard him do droopy. But I may have. Now that I'm trying to think, it doesn't sound completely alien. We're getting to the point where it is going to be a 4 hour show again. So apologize to Tony for taking so much of your time each week, but I do appreciate it. I'd say I'll take you to dinner. Sounds like you've got pretty much, I'm guessing, with all the people you're going to be traveling with and stuff, you've got your time scheduled or whatever. But if you find some time where you're bored in an evening or left alone in an evening, let me know and we'll go eat or a
Yeah, right.
cha-cha or something. But one of these times we'll go eat or something. We have eaten before, just so
Yeah, it's
people
true.
know, like in Phoenix or something. I think we ate. But
Yep.
uh, but Tony's always got stuff to do, and he travels with people, and I don't, and I travel with the dogs. So yeah, I just let people do their thing. But I'll meet up with Agrizer when he's there, and if you're on Patreon, you can hook up with. I'm sure to same with Tony that if you want to chat with us directly or something about if you're going to be there, Patreon is a good way to do it. Channel members, feel free to contact that way. I'm wondering if there's any other questions that we missed. Um, because there's a bunch of comments in here that anything that was worth or that I shouldn't have missed or gone over. But you're traveling this week. When's the next diversity shoot after that?
The Varsity Shoot is the 14th. So I'll get back on the 10th. On the 12th, we have the CNJFO cigar event, cigar dinner slash fundraiser. Then I have the 14th is going to be at Recoil Range in Monroe. And then on the 28th, we're going to be at Gun for Hire Range in Woodland Park, New Jersey. And I haven't even looked into September. So I think I'll put September up also. So we just have three events live on Eventbrite. So if you want to go and check out what I'm doing, diversityshoot.com, that has the entire schedule for the whole year. They have the Eventbrite link there that you can go to my page, Tony Simon on Eventbrite, and actually see and purchase tickets. We've sold over half the tickets already for Gun for Hire Range on the 28th, so you need to jump on it if you want to get in it. And definitely pick up your tickets for Recoil because I need to know who's coming because we have a few people that didn't make it out to Lakewood to We Shoot last week because we had national flood warning. We had some roads shut down, and some people wisely chose to stay home and not get caught on the road because we had very little rain down at the event, but getting to the event, you had to drive through maybe some low-lying areas and with some delays or something. So anyway, buy your tickets. It's awesome. I'm going to be busy all year long, and I'm happy for it. I'm glad of it, but you know, we're still working on it. I got my charity numbers. What do you call it? The tax ID number from the state and from the federal government for the charitable organization. We got the numbers. We still got to do a couple other things before we're official, and they give us the freaking "You are a charity" now. It's okay to collect funds in that name. You can still donate now, and we write your receipt. You know what I mean? Because we have up to a year from when you donate to you can turn it in. So it's not as if, you can only donate to us when we're officially a charity. If you donate between now and a year from now, you can write it off and we can give you a receipt. That's something we already talked about with my guy. So if anybody wants to help out, Tony at diversityshoot.com, and you can contact me. You can even go through the Eventbrite mail. There's multiple ways you can reach me. I'm on Instagram at SimonSaysTrain. I'm on X at Second for Everyone. Also punch in Tony Simon. You can find me. and at Tony Simon on Facebook, or the second is for everyone on Facebook. Big move coming up next is changing, the name to just one name on all of those. I'd really hate to try to start up the second is for everyone on any of those platforms alone, mainly because I have
You're
lots of
pulling a
followers. I think
you're
I
pulling a
think I
women
got
for
like,
gun rights.
yeah, right.
You're pulling a armed
Uh,
women of America to well armed women. Or wait,
yeah,
the other whichever way it went.
the other way around. But yeah, no, I'm not doing that. So I'm keeping it. I mean, because I have like, I think I counted it up for GunCon for their media thing, like 30,000 followers between all the social medias. They want you to add them all up as if some of them aren't the same person, which is ridiculous. But whatever, that's how you get the numbers.
All right. Well, even though we're shutting it down, I seen somebody said watching the AK parts video or AK parts kit video and saw your live. I'm assuming I'm allowed to actually talk about it, but which parts kit? I'm curious. And then, what do you got one? And you're going to be putting it together, or what? I haven't talked to AKs in a long time with anybody, but I do follow a couple. I took Instagram off my phone. I don't know if I've mentioned that. I'm going off in a couple of tangents here, but I do follow some AK builders on Instagram. So
Hmm.
since I took it off my phone, I'll forget that I don't even use Instagram anymore. Like since I took it off my phone, I forget about it, and then I'll go like maybe if I'm talking to you or a couple other people that I actually talk to on Instagram,
Hmm.
mostly or whatever. Like I'll go, oh, I need to talk to Tony, and then I'll be on Instagram and I'll find like a flood of stuff that I missed because I wasn't paying attention. So anyway, I've been watching a bunch of kind of a what do you call it, like a swarm of AK videos from different builders, and it
Hmm.
kind of got me going because you know how it is too when you're about to do something. You're thinking about 100 other things. It's like, oh, I need to be packing. So yeah, I should take out an AK parts kit and fiddle with it. You know, it's like
Yep.
just how my brain goes sometimes. So it's just interesting that you're looking at a parts kit video. Those were 2 or 3 incarnations of our channel ago. Definitely a
Yep.
fun time, but a different time on internet back then. You could actually talk about assembling a parts kit. Like I said, I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about it anymore on these things. Okay, a Bulgarian parts kit. So for people that don't know, Bulgaria is a country that Russia, when they were after World War II, they took a bunch of countries and took them under the they call them the USSR, but it was the Soviet Union. And so they were one of those countries. And basically, they just said, you're our country now, and we're using the 7.62 by 39 AK. That means you are. So you can build them yourself. In other words, we're not going to build them for you, but you are going to use our gun. And each country either went, yes, we'll do exactly what you want, or yeah, we'll do something like what we'll obey, but we'll obey in our way. And Bulgaria pretty much went with, we'll do exactly what you want. The only thing they said is we're going to tidy it up a little bit. We're going to make it a little tighter. We're going to make it a little nicer. We're going to put a nicer finish on it. Like our guns are going to look a little better. Like all our guns look like parade guns, right? So Bulgarians are pretty respected. And then we have like Arsenal and stuff importing them. So we had Cold War stockpiles being imported by people who knew what they were doing and marketed them well, and they're good guns. So Bulgarians are awesome raw material. And then a parts kit means anything. It could be, let's see, it says from 12 years ago, I'm looking into buying an old Soviet military AK parts kit. That's a whole nother story I won't even get into to save everybody. If you want to hear about that, you have to tell me. But the Bulgarian, to finish that, like the Bulgarian kits, I think are cool because they either come from, think of that movie, Lord of War. They're either going to come from some like giant warehouse that never, these guns were built for Cold War, never saw the light of day, and then got taken apart and like sent complied with U.S. import laws by taking them apart and then sent to our country so that we can put them back together. Some of these are like, in other words, guns that were never even used in training or anything. On the other hand, some of them were used like in training and stuff, and you're getting these sloppy guns that look like just beat up, but there's a lot of character to them and they're just cool. Think about all the whatever Bulgarian cadets or whatever that that use this gun over the years, and now you're shooting it in your backyard, right? Like how cool is that? Or it's an actual one that somebody used in some kind of campaign somewhere, and then so it actually did stuff. Been there and done that, got chopped up into a kit, and now you're using it in your backyard. Like any or all of those could be the source of a Bulgarian kit, and to boot, like they're, or in addition, they're like also freaking well made. So you get a well made, like a well remade AK parts, Bulgarian parts kit, and you're starting with a quality gun. Then you get into the what do they look like? I'm just riffing on AKs here, by the way. Bulgarians, I think, are second coolest looking AKs of all of them. The Russians are third. Bulgarians made their guns a little better, in my opinion, and also made them look cooler. They're just tighter. They started using the plastics and the bake lights and stuff in a cooler way, and they're tight. Like, and then if you get an old beat up one, they just look even better because they started out cool and then they look all weathered. So well done on the Bulgarian parts kit. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. And then I'll save the Soviet one because that's I can get into that. I was in the KCA, so I know all kinds of stuff people don't know about AK Soviet parts kits. But then thanks for the feedback and thanks for watching the videos. I mean, I guess I make about $100 a month off of the YouTube channel, FYI. So I think we're allowed to talk about that now, right? So, I mean, I appreciate you watching the videos, but I'm not desperate for you to watch my videos like some people. I don't make real money on my YouTube channel. Let's see. Wood says I sent a couple of nunchuck videos. Wait, I
Nice.
sent a couple of nunchuck videos. I thought he said he saw a couple of nunchuck videos. I'm like, I took down all my nunchuck videos of me nunchucking, I think. Yeah, I will definitely hook you and Tony up
Hmm.
for sure. I thought you guys already knew stuff, but yeah, I'll give you both contact info.
Yeah, we're both
Um,
on X. If he wants to shoot me a message there, he can. But if not, hey, that's. However, I mean, I enjoyed talking to him when we were in Phoenix. Not, yeah, Phoenix, right? Yeah,
I'm thinking because I was about to say, let me finish the comments. As he's saying, he posted an Every Second Matters post picture over on, does it say where? I'm assuming on Instagram, of a new holster for his SP 101. Right on. Ozzy makes his own leather holsters for people that are interested in checking out some. He's not selling them, I don't think, right? You're not selling them. You're just making them and sharing them with people. Pretty cool. So Ozzy's got like an ulterior reason for buying new guns all the time. Oh, there. He just said it right there. That's probably what you're saying. I'm behind, obviously.
yeah.
They took down a ton of my videos because I used to fiddle with them and stuff. And now 10 years or however many, I don't know how long those videos have been up, but every single day you log on to the stupid email. It'll tell you they took down another video because of something I did 11 years ago they don't like today. And a lot of
Yep.
those are suffering from it. But I guess I was going to say, kind of leading out of the show here, I am going to be heading out. I wasn't really planning on going to goals, but I have another thing I'm going to be doing in another part of the country because it's not anybody's business what I'm doing in other parts of the country. But I got to go do something, or I want to go do something in another part of the country. And when I was looking around, first thing I look at is gun shows and museums. And there's these two museums that I really want to get to that are in Arkansas, and I just haven't. The Daisy Museum, the Daisy BB Gun Museum.
Nice.
It's a really cool museum. Plus, their like presence on the internet, they're like they're just cool. Like I not only are BB guns cool, and like the Daisy story is cool, and they have a museum. Like a lot of companies don't even bother with their own history, but then they also have whoever it is running their Instagram and their socials, I guess, is just cool, and like they do it cool. And so anyway, I just wanted to go there, and I saw it's like a 3 hour interview, so it's just one of my things I wanted to get to. Then there's another museum really close by near Nighthawk Customs that I want to check out that I missed in 2012 when me and Haas were driving around. So anyway, I've been wanting to hit these museums since 2012. Well, the one, and whenever I was looking at things to do, goals came up, and it's a little bit of a weird drive. It's adding a few miles to my drive, but I guess what I'm getting at is I am going to be driving over to Goals and then kind of a long way back to Arizona. So anybody who's a channel member or a Patreon, I guess regular people too, if you want. But I'm really curious from the people who help us do what we're doing, keep our servers online and keep the Minuteman University online. Some of the other projects that we've done over the years, like the calendars and the gun shop guides, people that value that kind of I don't, my drive isn't to make a bunch of money on the gun community. Like I'm doing most of this. Well, I've never done any of it for profit. I've had a couple of sponsors over the years, but I don't do that well. So it's really the Patreons, the people who decide to throw 5 or 10, couple of people throw $25 a month at us, and we use that money to pay for the servers. And back in the day, that was like literally keeping the all the lights on and everything. So the people that are still contributing, I want to get their input as to what gun shops I should check out and what other Second Amendment related, maybe gun related stuff, or just stuff that's related to stuff where I'm interested in. That's along the way. Whenever I was looking at the route the last time, I think the Marshall Museum, which is I guess I could go there. It's going to be right on my route though, so just knowing stuff like that is helpful because if I'm driving right past it, what does it take? Half an hour to stop and at least say that I've been there or say thanks for letting me add this to the trip or something. But if it's something amazing, like plenty of times I've put the call out there. Hey, I'm gonna I've driven pretty much from 2015 I think I started doing the tours to 2020. So for a number of years there, I was on the road for most of the good chunk of the months of each year, checking out gun shops and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to doing that again. And like I say, I have heard of some gun shops. Maybe I passed one on the highway and I wanted to see it or something. But almost all the gun shops that I've discovered along the way were from people telling me, "You got to check out this awesome shop. It's an hour from my house or something." Or I visited it when I was in Knoxville or something one year. So is it Knoxville? Have you been to that range that's made out of an old movie theater? It's either Knoxville or
No.
Nashville. It might be Nashville now that I'm thinking about it, but kind of like, I mean, it's not an old movie theater, but it's styled like an old 1930s or 20s or something architecture type of movie theater. And it was like a multiplex, and I guess it went out of business. And then this range bought it. This was a number of years ago, so I'm pretty sure it's still there. And they turned it into like like a dude bro type shooting club range. So it's like it's a
Hmm.
range, but it's really a club, and it's going to be for like your young wealthy gun owner, like
Okay.
So I'm assuming some CCW, but probably matches. I don't know honestly, but it sounds like they turned a lot of those movie theaters into bays, so they have like a lot of different opportunities there. Anyway, so something like that. Like I'd like to go check that out now that I'm thinking about it. Even if it is in Nashville, I can still see it because I'm driving. So it's not like I'm flying over it. I could just stop and check it out. So anyway, if you know something like that, especially if, like I say, you're actually been helping out financially, that's what it's all about. Definitely put your suggestions, at the top of the list and priority. Some of the times when I'm driving, I've got like a week to drive 20 hours or something, and then other times I've got 10 hours to get halfway across the country. So it kind of depends. I can take as many suggestions as I can get, in other words, because I never really know when I can find a spot to get off on the highway, or something breaks down and now I know, hey, I'm only half an hour away from something told me about. I don't know. You travel more than I do, so you don't really. I don't haven't heard you put that call out there before, but I'm guessing just with all the people you talk to and stuff, you discover things to kind of do side treks on or adventures while you're on an adventure.
Yeah, I try to hit things on the way, but not get too distracted because it'll take me out of my zone. Like when I drive to St. Louis or something like that, that's like, all right, stay focused, but hit some places here and there, but stay focused because you got to make the trip. Um, but it was traveling with your boy that really got me to do that when we were hitting different restaurants on the way. That
I
and
forgot about restaurants. I mean, I keep thinking about that, but I have to get back in that mode because, yeah, like that's such a neat thing to be able to kind of look back on once and you're talking about going to restaurants and doing reviews and then like accumulating a archive
well,
of.
yeah, it's like I can look back on my trips right now, and we hit different restaurants that, if they're a chain restaurant, they're a regional chain restaurant. Like I hit Steak and Shake. Well, I'd never heard of Steak and Shake before until I was driving to St. Louis with him, and I hit Steak and Shake I think 3 times. Uh, but it was like really cool because we were able to eat at different restaurants that you never heard of. We tried different foods, and then when I just went to Cleveland, was trying to do it again and was looking up what are unique foods to Cleveland. If you ever want to be bored to death and see some freaky stuff, look at the unique foods to Cleveland. Somehow they think it's a good idea to make a pizza and put the toppings on it after you take it out the oven. That's a uniquely Cleveland thing, and now you can see why it's only done there. But try to fit some stuff in, especially if you're driving for long distances. I know it's dudes, and it's usually a dude thing. We try to hit it like we're gonna break the land speed record going there. Hey man, they GPS said it's gonna take 15 hours. I made it in 12. Yeah, but you didn't see anything, bro. Like you didn't see anything. You had your snacks beside you, or you had a couple sandwiches. You ate. You peed in a cup and threw it out the window. Like you didn't even enjoy the trip. And I think that's something some of us miss when we do it. I know I never thought about doing it until I traveled with your boy Mario.
They definitely do it right in Vegas, and I mean now that I'm not doing the gun stuff so much, uh, I can totally see how that could be lucrative, not just like fun, but like really lucrative. I don't know how hard you have to work at it. I have never attempted to make the food reviews like like an actual income source, but I mean, I'll find out this
Hmm.
trip and then let you know.
Yeah,
But
man.
again, I would also take food recommendations, but my food recommendations are uh, I'm definitely in the what do you call it the fringe of the menus out there. So I'll let people send Tony to barbecue places and steak joints and shit like that. Let's see. So I think we'll wrap it up, and it'll be a 4 hour show. So there you go. Just
Boom.
like we said, we're not going to do 4 hours again this week. So
Yep.
we're not charging
Definitely
anybody
didn't.
double or anything. So it's a pretty good deal.
We knew it was gonna happen.
Can you get blue guns in any? Well, I think you can get a blue gun in a PO7 and in a Glock 34, but I don't know about the lone wolf. Are they
Well, the
similar
lone
enough that
wolf
their blue guns are the same?
is a 19X, or it's a friggin' is it either a 19X or a Glock 45? Close enough.
But I don't know if Ozzy uses a blue gun. Like I'm not sure his
Oh,
technique.
oh, I see what you're asking. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I was
Funny
thinking
fun.
of a block for a holster.
So I was at Goals last year, and dang, I really wish I knew the kid's name, but it's on this phone. He had a booth there that he was making holsters live, and I wanted a holster for my High Point JCP. I have one. I have a Phobos holster. Of course, I don't really use it. I only ran one competition with it, but I took years of classes with it. But I was like, yeah, that'll be cool because I'm planning on getting another JCP, either in 40 or 10 mil from High Point. And they were at the show, and I was like, yo, nobody has a freaking High Point blue gun. Like, get real. So I asked the guys from High Point, I was like, look, dude's 4 booths away. Can I borrow your firearm? No, they bagged it up for me and they let me take it and have dude made a freaking holster for it. So I'm in there with a High Point,
That's cool.
gun bag. But I'm like, I already have the one gun. You guys gonna send me the other gun? I'd really like to have it, and also highlight the fact that this guy made the holster for me. So I got a "Don't Tread on Me" holster for a High Point JCP, and that's pretty cool because he makes them right there for you. I mean, so if you have your carry gun, I don't know how that's done, so I ain't gonna tell you it can happen. He probably have a blue gun or whatever you have, but if you have something weird, you might be able to work something out. So I think it's best if you carry it in there, talk to him first before you whip it out and go, hey, I have this Lamat revolver and I'd like you to make a Kydex holster for it. Absolutely zero people know what a Lamat revolver is. So figure.
Mm, there's got to be in some video game. I know it was in one movie. I can't remember the movie though.
Oh, well, hey, let me mess with you really bad. A Lamat revolver was the revolver used by Chuck Norris's fictional character in the Western series. but it's actually a real gun. It had a 20 gauge center cylinder, and then regular rounds around it. It's an actual revolver.
But it
So
was
where
like what, 10 or something chambers
mm-mm,
in a cylinder around it.
was it
Wasn't it a
nine?
bunch? It was a bunch.
I think it was nine, and then it had a 20 gauge in the middle. So it had two firing pins, one firing pin for the middle cylinder that you could fire, and then the other firing pin flips up for the others. But yeah, it was called on the Mac. This is the weirdest gun I can think of. I'm sure somebody probably wants a holster made for, a broom handle Mauser or something like that. That's cool too.
I've been distracted because I'm sending you guys an email just so that you guys know each other's email or whatever. I think you
Cool.
would. But now let's quit threatening it. Let's end it because at some point I need to get over the thing that closes in an hour here. But again, I
I got
appreciate your time and everybody that's listening. Thanks for joining in. Definitely the people that joined us. We had a celebrity panel today. Thanks for everybody that joined in and asked questions. I think we got them all, but if we missed them, we'll definitely be willing to catch them the next time. Let's
cool.
see. You're going to be doing a show, so I doubt we'll be going live at the thing. If I'm live at the thing and I see Tony standing there, then we can kind of do this show. We'll answer a question, and then technically we'll all get paid. So, we'll answer one question. But yeah, I'll try to go live. I mean, back in the day, you could go live pretty much anywhere. I can't imagine Knoxville is hard to go live. There's a massive sun sphere right next door. So it's probably got really good internet. So I'm hoping to go, streaming at some point. And I'm thinking, it'll be my third day there, and it's not that big. So it's not like I
Yeah,
got other appointments or anything. So yeah, I'll go live, let people look around if I can, and we'll go. We'll be back to this show, I guess, a week after that, unless Tony's got something going on. Or no, wait, maybe not. I'll be on the road, so. But I'm
mm,
sure that the week after I'll be able to do it because I won't be at a show. I'll be able to do it, and if Tony's around, I'll be able to do it from wherever. So it'll be remote, but it'll be a show.
cool.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. And I don't have any intro or outro music, so here is the outro.